Chapter 100. In order to protect Sima Lai, Sima Yue cultivated in the house that night. She moved a chair to the side of the bed and sat cross-legged on it, beginning to cultivate the soul-refining technique. The next morning, sunlight shone into the house. Sima Lai slowly opened his eyes and looked at the sunlight that shone on Sima Yue's body. He felt dazzled. After cultivating for an entire night, the remaining fatigue from yesterday was swept away. Sima Yue let out a long breath and slowly opened her eyes. "Grandfather, you're awake?" Seeing Sima Lai looking at her, Yue was so excited that she almost jumped out of her chair. Sima Lai nodded his head and looked at her kindly. Thinking of his previous situation, he knew that he must have frightened her. "Yue, how did you know I was here?" "I met third brother and fourth brother in the mountains. They said that you live here." Sima Yue said, "You're awake. I'll call third brother and the others. You were injured and unconscious, which scared them to death." After speaking, she quickly ran out and quickly brought Sima Yue and Sima Yue back. "Grandfather, you're awake. Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere?" Sima Lai shook his head, indicating that he was fine. "Xiaoling, have the shop cook some porridge for breakfast," Sima Yue said to Xiaoling, who came in. Then she thought about it and realized that the things cooked in these places might not be drinkable. She changed her mind and said, "Forget it, I'll do it myself. Third brother, you guys stay here and take care of Grandpa. I'll go make some breakfast." Before Xiaoling could react, Sima Yue had bypassed him and left. He did not think that Sima Yue would actually be able to save Sima Lai. Looking at his master, who had opened his eyes again, his eyes turned slightly red. He came to the bed and knelt down. "General, your subordinate did not protect you well and caused you to suffer such a great disaster. Please punish me." "Xiaoling, get up. I was the one who didn't allow you to follow me. It's not your fault." Although Sima Lai had woken up, he was still somewhat weak and spoke weakly. "Xiaoling, just get up. Grandfather won't blame you," Sima Yue said. Sima Yue came to Xiaoling's side and pulled him up. He then said to Sima Lai, "Grandfather, you don't know how dangerous your situation was this time. If it wasn't for the fact that fifth brother knew to save you, I'm afraid that we would have." He didn't finish his sentence, but everyone understood. "Yue saved me?" Sima Lai asked in surprise. Sima Yue nodded, saying, "That's right. When we arrived at the inn, we bumped into Xiaoling, who was checking out. He said he wanted to take you back to the capital to find Master Shi. But fifth brother checked you out and said that if you don't get treatment in time, you'll only live for half a day. Later, she used some needles to suppress the poison in your chest and delayed it for a day or two. Yes, we invited some doctors to take a look, but they all said that there was no way. Later, it was fifth brother who found a way to save you during this period of time, and then he even guarded you for a night. She said you would wake up today, and you woke up this morning. How did Yue save me?" Hearing that his favorite granddaughter had saved him, Sima Lai was in a good mood. "We don't know either. She told us to go out," Sima Yue said. Sima Lai thought of the person behind Sima Yue who had cured her poison. Could it be that that person had taught her? Until now, Sima Lai still felt that someone was helping her from behind. Because he was too weak, Sima Lai didn't say too much. Sima Yue ran and the others just stayed by his side. After a while, Sima Yue came in with a bowl of porridge and said to Sima Yue and the others, "Third brother, fourth brother, I left some porridge in the kitchen. I'll feed grandfather here. You guys go and eat something first. You guys haven't eaten for a day." Sima Yue and the others had eaten Sima Yue's food a few times before, and they all fell in love with it. Since they hadn't eaten for a day, they were indeed a little hungry. As such, everyone went out and left Sima Lai in her care. Sima Yue placed the tray on the table and came to the bedside, saying, "Grandfather, I'll help you up so you can lean against me." Sima Lai nodded and used her strength to move his body backwards and leaned against the pillow that she had prepared. Sima Yue brought the porridge over and scooped up a spoonful. She blew on it before feeding it to Sima Lai. "Grandfather, this is a medicinal porridge that I added a few ingredients to. It will be very helpful for your recovery," Sima Yue said as she fed him. With Sima Lai's strength, he didn't need much food. In the past, he would accompany Sima Yue to eat breakfast. He thought that it was just a habit, but he didn't expect that she had specially cooked porridge for him. Yue's food is getting better and better. The porridge was fragrant and smooth. After eating it, he felt a warm current flow through his body, expelling all the coldness in his body. The strength in his body slowly returned. If grandfather likes it, Yue will make it for you more often in the future, Sima Yue said with a smile. How good. Sima Lai heard these heartwarming words and thought of the person who used to be with him all day long and didn't even return home. His heart was filled with emotions. It was said that daughters were like cotton jackets, and his granddaughter had learned how to be considerate. The grandfather and grandson duo finished the entire bowl of porridge in this warm atmosphere. After they were done, Sima Yue even took out a silk handkerchief to wipe his mouth. Sima Lai's heart was in a mess. After placing the bowl on the tray on the table, Sima Yue returned and said, Grandfather, do you feel better? The effects of your medicinal porridge are really not bad. My body is now comfortably warm. Sima Lai said. That's good. Sima Yue said, Grandfather, how did you get injured? It's nothing much. When I went out, I met an old enemy. Sima Lai said. Grandfather, don't try to coax me. Sima Yue said, demons don't appear in the Yilin continent. If it was an ordinary enemy, how could you be injured by the six-toed devil mouse and leave behind demon chi in your body? You're saying that it was a demon? Sima Lai looked at Sima Yue with an expression of shock that was no less than when she first found out. Sima Yue nodded and said, That's why I guessed that it wasn't an ordinary enemy that hurt you. And with grandfather's strength, there aren't many in the entire continent who can hurt you. So the monster that hit me at the end was actually a demon. Sima Lai muttered. Grandfather, you're still not going to tell me? Sima Yue said. You're really much smarter than before. Sima Lai said, It's just that that person must have already gone back, so if I tell you, Grandfather, since it was an enemy that wanted your life, it must not be an ordinary grudge. Just because they left now doesn't mean that they won't come back. If you don't tell us, what if we meet them later? Sima Yue interrupted Sima Lai's words, causing him to be stunned. After a moment of silence, Sima Lai let out a long sigh and said, Sigh, this is also an old grudge of our clan. Chapter 101. It actually escalated to an old family feud. The moment Sima Lai opened his mouth, Sima Yue was shocked. I really shouldn't have told you these things, but if something like this were to happen again and I suddenly die, you would be even more at a loss. Sima Lai said with a sigh. Sima Yue saw the unwillingness on Sima Lai's face. She held his hand and said, Grandfather, we are also the descendants of the Sima family. If we can help you share some of the burden, we will, right? Sima Lai patted Sima Yue's hand. This granddaughter of his was so sensible that it made his heart ache. Have you ever thought that while other clans have many branches, our Sima family only has our branch? Sima Lai asked. Sima Yue thought about it and it seemed to be the case. Other families had many branches, but their Sima family only had Sima Lai, Sima Yue, and her 5 siblings. In the past, she didn't think much of it because she didn't have a strong sense of family in her previous life. But now that she thought about it, it didn't match this world at all. In this world, all the families were united. There was no one like them who only had a few masters. Unless they didn't have any other relatives. Grandpa, are all our relatives from the other branches dead? Sima Yue asked. Sima Lai shook his head and said, We didn't die, but we were chased out. Chased out? Yes, and they were banished to this place of captivity. Prison? Sima Yue felt that she had been confused by Sima Lai. This place was a prison. Could it be that they were living in a prison? Actually, the Dongchen kingdom is a part of the Yilin continent. You know this, right? Sima Lai asked. Sima Yue nodded. She knew about this. Actually, this Dongchen kingdom is the Yilin continent's prison. Sima Lai said, The people in this country were all driven here in the past. Those large clans were driven here for a long time, so they slowly developed and developed. As for us, because we haven't been here for long, we haven't developed yet. Grandfather, why do you say that the Dongchen kingdom is a place of imprisonment? Sima Yue asked in confusion. Because the Dongchen country is surrounded by steep mountains and is guarded by high-grade spirit beasts, these places are like a prison, and the people here can only live in this place. If anyone wants to go out, I'm afraid they won't be able to go far before dying in the Sophia Mountains. Sima Lai said, this Dongchen kingdom's resources are scarce. Compared to the outside world, this place is like a prison. In other words, we are actually living in a valley. Sima Yue said. Sima Lai nodded. Grandpa, why were we banished here? Sima Yue asked. Because I was framed. Sima Lai's entire body trembled as he spoke. Our Sima family can be considered a big family outside, but your great-grandfather was framed and expelled from the family. He was even chased by the person who framed him. With no other choice, he could only bring us to escape into the Sophia Mountains. The Sophia Mountains are dangerous, and not long after we entered, we were all killed. Even your great-grandfather and great-grandmother were not spared. In the end, I was the only one left. Originally, I almost died in the stomach of a spirit beast, but fortunately, a benefactor saved me and brought me out of the Sophia Mountains to the Dongchen kingdom. Saying this, Sima Lai glanced at Sima Yue. He did not tell her that the person who saved him was her father. After that, I lived here and worked hard to improve my strength. Fortunately, my talent was not bad, and I was able to mix well here. I even became a great general, and helped His Majesty to manage the security of the Dongchen kingdom. Sima Lai said. Then the person who hurt you, was he the one who framed our family? Sima Yue guessed. Sima Lai nodded. That was my childhood playmate. I don't know why, but he actually knew about the golden snake fruit. I don't even know what method he used, but he actually passed through the Sophia Mountains and came to the Pu Luo Mountains. Originally, my strength was about the same as his, but his battle strength was not as good as mine. Just as I was about to win, an ugly monster came out from his body and hit me. At that time, I felt that something was wrong and immediately ran away. That person knew that grandfather ran away. Will he come again? Sima Yue was a little worried. I don't think so. Sima Lai said, I understand that person's temperament. He has always been conceited. Since I was injured by a spirit beast in his eyes, I would not live for more than a day, so he was certain that I would not survive. Even if he felt that I was lucky enough to survive, he did not know where I was. If he wanted to find me, this Dongchen kingdom is not small, so he would need to spend some time. However, he did not have the time to delay. Why? If I remember correctly, not long after, it will be a grand day for the Sima family. Everyone in the Sima family must return, otherwise they will be severely punished. He cannot afford to delay. Sima Lai said. However, this is still a hidden danger. Sima Yue thought for a while. Since he knows that you are here, he will also guess that you have a family. If they have the intention to silence you, I'm afraid that our future days will not be good. I think so too. Sima Lai said. Sima Yue saw that Sima Lai's eyebrows were tightly knitted and smiled, saying, Grandfather, don't worry too much. These are only our guesses. That person may not have the time to come again. You should just focus on recuperating. We can talk about the rest later. Sima Lai saw Sima Yue's smile and the worry in his heart dissipated. He secretly made a decision in his heart that no matter what, he must protect her safety. Sima Yue waited for Sima Lai to cultivate and recuperate before leaving the house. When she returned to her own room, the smile on her face disappeared and was replaced by a deep worry. Although that person may not come now, he was still a hidden danger. Looks like I have to think of a way to increase my brother's strength. If not, when those people come, we will not have the strength to fight back. Sima Yue flashed into the spirit pearl and ran to look at the remaining 5 golden snake fruits. They were the only things that could increase her strength now, but she was still unable to refine pills. Other than relying on pills, there are other methods. Little Spirit appeared beside her and reminded her. There are other methods? Sima Yue looked at Little Spirit and hugged him, saying, Little Spirit, what other methods are there? Your flattering look is really ugly. Little Spirit said disdainfully. Sima Yue slapped him on the head and shouted, "Flattering my ass, hurry up and say what other methods are there." Chapter 102. Little Spirit did not expect Sima Yue to change her mind, so he did not avoid her hand. After being hit, he covered his head and glared at Sima Yue. Sima Yue looked at Little Spirit's big round eyes that were staring at her pitifully. She immediately felt that he was adorable. She hugged him with one hand and rubbed his head with the other. She said, "All right, I'm just anxious. Tell me, what other methods do you have?" Little Spirit could feel Sima Yue's love for him. Hearing her words, he curled his lips and said, "You're so stupid. Pills increase their strength from the inside. Can't you do it from the outside?" "From outside?" Sima Yue blinked. "You mean to prepare contract beasts for them?" Little Spirit nodded his head. "Have you forgotten what Emo Sha gave you? That's a treasure." "You mean the Imperial Beast Art?" Sima Yue thought of what it said. Using the Imperial Beast Art to tame spirit beasts, both parties would be able to increase their strength during the contract. Her eyes shone as she pinched Little Spirit's face and said with a smile, "That's right, I can prepare spirit beasts for my brothers to contract." "Little Spirit, thank you for your reminder." After saying that, she kissed Little Spirit's face and left with satisfaction. "Leaving saliva on my face again." Little Spirit looked at her back, but there was a hidden smile in his eyes. Sima Yue came out and called Little Roar over. Did you miss me?" Little Roar pounced into Sima Yue's embrace the moment he arrived and said shamelessly. Looking at the narcissistic Little Roar, Sima Yue could not help but roll her eyes. How could there be such a narcissistic spirit beast? "Little Roar, you can make those spirit beasts listen to you, right?" Sima Yue asked. "Let's see what level it is." Little Roar said, "If it was just a normal beast, it wouldn't be a problem. However, if you're looking for a sacred beast, with my current strength, I won't be able to handle it." "No need for a sacred beast." Sima Yue waved her hand. Even if she wanted a sacred beast, she didn't have one now. "Just ordinary spirit beasts. I want to prepare some contract beasts for my brothers, and I can tame them, so their levels can't be too high." "That's easy," Little Roar said. "How much do you want?" "I'll go to the Puluo mountain range and kidnap a few." "All right," Little Roar finally admitted that he had abducted a spirit beast. "One for each of my 4 brothers." Sima Yue said, I think it's better if I go with you. Let's see what level I can tame. I'll try my best to prepare higher level ones for my brothers." "All right. When are we going?" Little Roar had always been very passionate about abducting spirit beasts. Hearing that they were going to abduct spirit beasts, he was extremely excited. "Go now. He should be leaving for the capital tomorrow. Let's see if he can make it back before tomorrow morning," Sima Yue said. "Tomorrow morning? We definitely can't do it tomorrow morning." Little Roar said, "You can tame one spirit beast, but you have to choose a good one. Also, you have to test how high level you can contract. You have to take it slow. It'll be good if you can do it in 10 days. Sima Yue thought about it. Little Roar was right. It looked like she had to find an excuse to leave. After thinking for a long time, she left a letter and hugged Little Roar as she left the inn. She didn't think that she would bump into Sima Yue the moment she stepped out of the inn. "Third brother? What are you doing here?" Sima Yue looked at Sima Yue. She still had that familiar face and that familiar look of reliance, but they all went out to shop. "I waited for you here," Sima Yue said with a smile. "Wait for me for what?" Sima Yue felt a little guilty. This guy couldn't have really seen through her, right? Sima Yue saw Sima Yue's expression and stepped forward to rub her head, saying, "Are you interested in taking a walk with third brother? Does third brother want to go shopping?" "No, I have something I want to talk to you about," Sima Yue said. "Okay. Then let's go for a walk," Sima Yue said. She had always known that Sima Yue was the smartest out of her 4 brothers. She was too different from how she was in the past. In the past, because they didn't spend much time together, he didn't realize anything. However, after spending a few days together, he understood a few things. She lowered her head and followed Sima Yue, thinking about how to tell him about herself. Unknowingly, she followed him into a tea house. Let's go up and drink some tea. Sima Yuran didn't ask for Sima Yoyue's opinion and directly brought her up. After getting the waiter to prepare a private room facing the street, Sima Yue sat opposite Sima Yuran and waited for him to speak. I heard that the tea here is not bad. Sima Yuran said as he poured a cup of tea for Sima Yue. Sima Yue raised the cup and sniffed it, then took a light sip. After that, she put the cup down and said, "It really is not bad." Sima Yuran looked at Sima Yue, who was lightly sipping the tea, and his eyes drooped. Fifth brother didn't know how to drink tea in the past. Every time I gave you good tea, you would gulp it down in one gulp. Everyone has to learn. Sima Yoyue's heart thumped. It really came. It's true that you have to learn, but some things can't be learned just by learning. I saw fifth brother's actions when he was treating grandfather were incomparably skillful. This is not something that can be learned overnight. Sima Yuran said. Sima Yue was silent. He was right. Her medical skills were not something that could be learned in a short period of time. That day when she was treating Sima Lai's acupuncture, it was clear that she had not learned it in 3 to 5 days. What does third brother want to say? Sima Yue directly asked. Sima Yuran did not think that Sima Yue would take the initiative. He smiled, saying, I just want to know, who are you? Why are you pretending to be my fifth brother? Where is my fifth brother now? Sima Yue wanted to speak, but Sima Yuran raised his hand and said, Don't say that you are my fifth brother. What he was like in the past and what you are like now, we are all very clear in our hearts. If you say that you are him, do you think that I will believe you? Sima Yue was silent as she lowered her head and took a sip of tea. You better tell me the truth. Otherwise, it won't be hard for me to get rid of you now. Tell me quickly, where is my fifth brother? Sima Yue looked up and saw the anxiety in Sima Yuran's eyes. She sighed, saying, Third brother, it really is me. Impossible. Sima Yuran denied it. When I was 4 years old, I wet the bed. When you came to wake me up, you just happened to see me hiding my wet pants under the bed. Sima Yuran's body trembled as he looked straight at Sima Yue. When I was 5 years old, you brought me to the forest outside the city to look for beehives. We were stung by bees, and one of them somehow got into your pants and stung your balls. When I was 10 years old, you fell in love with a girl. I was the one who encouraged you to chase after her, although you gave up in the end. Also, when I was 10 years old, I had my first period. I was so scared that I lost my head and thought that I was going to die. It was you who helped me find a sanitary pad, and the servant girl almost thought that you had some bad fetish. Cough cough, don't say any more. Sima Yuran unnaturally interrupted Sima Yue when she mentioned those things. Sima Yue smiled. These are things that we promised to keep secret. I haven't told anyone all these years. Do you believe me now? Chapter 103. Sima Yuran had his suspicions, but the things that Sima Yu said were indeed little secrets that only the two of them knew. However, he found it strange that the person in front of him was his familiar younger sister. They were two completely different people. But how do you know medicine? When Sima Yue heard his question, she knew that he already believed her identity. She said, Did Grandpa tell you about the seal on my body? Seal? Sima Yuran furrowed his eyebrows. He didn't seem to have heard of this before, but seeing how she said it, it didn't seem to be fake. What's going on? Sima Yue shrugged and said, I don't know either, but when I spoke, I had the memories of my previous life. Later on, because of the seal, my memories were also sealed. Later, because I was injured, the seal loosened, and I recovered the memories of my previous life. That medical skill is also something that I learned in my previous life. Your past life's memories? Sima Yuran felt that it was a little inconceivable, but this was the best explanation at the moment. It's no wonder your temperament has changed so much, and you've learned all these things that you didn't know before. What was your previous life like? Sima Yue recalled that she was framed and killed by the second-in-command of the organization on Earth. Recalling that heart-wrenching pain that belonged to Sima Yue in her dream, her complexion became somewhat unsightly. She smiled and said, Third brother, those are all memories of the past. It's all in the past. Let's not talk about it. Sima Yuran knew that Sima Yue must have thought of something unhappy, so he didn't continue to ask. The two of them fell silent. Third brother, if you're willing to tell us about this, I won't ask you to keep it a secret. Sima Yue did not want to keep it a secret. As long as you are still our fifth brother, these things are not important. Sima Yuran said with a smile. Thank you, third brother. Sima Yuran looked at Sima Yuran and thanked him sincerely. I'm your brother, so I naturally have to protect you. Those guys didn't find out because they weren't smart enough, not because I didn't tell them. I knew it. Third brother is the smartest. Sima Yue smiled. Third brother, I want to ask you to help me with something. What is it? Sima Yuran asked. I have to make a trip back to Puluo mountain range. Can you take them with you first? I'm afraid that if I tell Grandpa, he won't let me go. Sima Yuran raised his eyebrows. Then how did you know that I would agree to let you go if you told me? The Puluo mountain range is too dangerous. How can I let you go alone? Third brother, the last time I was alone in Puluo mountain range for a few months, did you forget? Sima Yue said, I also had an urgent matter to deal with. Don't worry, I'll go back by myself after I come out. But I'm no longer who I used to be. I have the memories of 2 lifetimes. I won't joke around with my life. Sima Yue said, it's a deal then. Third brother, help me settle Grandpa. I'll leave first. After speaking, she didn't wait for Sima Yuran's reply and ran out. Sima Yuran watched as Sima Yue left and laughed as he shook his head. This brat. Her temper is the same as before. He raised his head and looked out of the window. Sima Yue just happened to run into the main street and felt his gaze. She even turned around and waved at him. Third brother, remember to keep it a secret. After speaking, she even made a gesture in the air. Sima Yuran didn't reply, but he was thinking about how to explain it to Sima Lai when he returned. Since she said that she wanted to keep it a secret, it meant that she didn't want everyone to know that she went to Puluo mountain range. Thinking about the gesture that Sima Yue made just now, Sima Yuran's trust in her increased by another point. That gesture was something that the two of them would do every time they asked each other to keep it a secret. She did it inadvertently, which proved that she was really his sister and not someone else in disguise. Although he was smart, he didn't think of using another person's body to come back to life. As for Sima Yue, she treated the Sima family as her own home from the bottom of her heart. She treated them as her own family and treated her as the real Sima Yue. Sigh, what a mischievous brat. He sighed as he stood up and left. His steps were much lighter than when he came. Sima Yue left the city and called out Yaguang, asking him to bring her to Puluo mountain range. She didn't know what excuse Sima Yuran would use, but she believed that he would definitely be able to bring Sima Lai and the others back. Yaguang's speed wasn't slow and she quickly returned to Puluo mountain range. Her goal this time was very clear. She was here to catch spirit beasts. Because she didn't know how many spirit beasts she could tame, she started from low-level spirit beasts. She first looked through the Imperial Beast art a few times and memorized the methods and points to take note of. After that, she got Yaguang and Little Roar to catch a low-level spirit beast. This was the first time she used the Imperial Beast art, so Sima Yue was a little nervous. That low-level spirit beast was not big, and under the pressure of Yaguang and Little Roar, it lay on the ground, trembling. Sima Yue walked over and placed her hand on its head. After that, she followed the instructions of the Imperial Beast art and moved the spirit energy in her body, working hard to establish a connection between herself and the spirit beast. Yaguang and Little Roar watched from the side. Because they didn't dare to interrupt her, they could only communicate through their contract. Little Roar, how does it feel to be tamed? Yaguang asked. At that time, he had taken the initiative to recognize Sima Yue as his master, so he didn't know how it felt to be tamed. How would I know? Little Roar said, I've never been tamed before. You've also contracted without being tamed? Yaguang looked at Little Roar in shock. Heh, it's all because I was young and ignorant. I was tricked by the cunning Yu and had no choice but to follow her. Sigh, now that I think about it, I'm filled with bitter tears. Yaguang looked at Little Roar and sighed in his heart. He really knows how to act. Do you think that our master can tame a spirit beast? Ye Guang saw that Sima Yue had not succeeded after so long and asked with uncertainty. Of course she can. Little Roar always had an exceptionally trusting attitude towards Sima Yue. No matter what it is, as long as Yu doesn't want to do it, there's nothing she can't do. Sima Yue, who had just finished taming, heard Little Roar's words and looked at him speechlessly. This guy, he was bursting with confidence in her. She didn't know when she was so powerful that she could succeed in whatever she wanted to do. Yu, are you done taming it? Little Roar flew over and looked at the low-level spirit beast obediently lying on the ground. Yeah, it's my first time using the Imperial Beast art. I'm not familiar with it, so I took a few detours and spent a little more time. Sima Yue said. What she didn't know was that maybe it was because of the strength of the Imperial Beast art or her unusually strong mental strength. The time she took to tame it was much shorter than the average Beast Tamer Master. Especially since it was her first time. If the Beast Tamer Master Guild knew that she had succeeded in taming a spirit beast on her first try, it would probably cause a storm. Chapter 104. For the rest of the time, Sima Yue had been looking for spiritual beasts to contract. From a level 1 low spiritual beast to a level 1 sacred beast, she had been improving rapidly. After 5 days in the mountains, Sima Yue could already tame a level 1 animal. On this day, after taming a level 1 sacred beast, the feedback from the beast allowed her to break through level 5 spirit master and successfully advance to level 6. I didn't expect the taming beast art to really allow a beast tamer to gain strength while taming beasts. Sima Yue was in a good mood as she sensed the increased strength in the Denglong's body. Of course, otherwise, why would this art of taming beast become a treasure that all the beast tamers fought over? Little Spirit said, the previous owner was a beast tamer. He once said that he wanted to obtain this imperial beast art. This was because if a beast tamer wanted to tame a spirit beast of a higher grade, they would have to spend more time improving their mental power, which would delay their own cultivation. If he had obtained the art of taming beast, he would have been able to gain strength while taming spirit beasts. He wouldn't have been able to. Little Spirit, you have so many previous owners. Sima Yue broke out in cold sweat. She already had an alchemist and a beast tamer. She wouldn't be surprised if it told her that its previous owner had an alchemist and an array master. Little Spirit sniffled. It would never tell Sima Yue that its previous owner had all kinds of occupations. All right, let's continue taming. Sima Yue said, Little Roar, when I first tamed a level 1 sacred beast, I felt that it was rather easy. Why don't you directly find me a level 3 sacred beast? All right, just you wait. Little Roar flew away after speaking. Not long after, he brought a 3rd level sacred beast over. This time, Sima Yue felt that it was a little strenuous. In the end, she barely managed to tame it. After the taming, she wiped the sweat off her forehead. It seemed that she had overestimated her strength. However, being able to tame a saint beast was a rare sight in the entire Dongchen country. Of course, this was because she had obtained the taming beast art and training soul art, as well as her powerful mental power. Yu, do you want a level 4 one? Little Roar saw that Sima Yue was done taming and flew over to ask. Sima Yue shook her head and said, It's taming a level 3 beast. If I taming a level 1 beast, I might as well hurt myself. Go and find me a few level 3 beasts. I'll start taming them after I recover. Yue said you was spirit beast you used to. Her you spirit beast for spirit. Perhaps it was because she had used up all her mental energy the first time she had tamed it. Sima Yu spent an entire night to recover and only fully recovered on the 2nd day. After that, she tamed some 1st, 2nd, and 3rd level saint beasts and kept them all into her soul pearl. In order to not let them know the secret of the spirit pearl, she asked Little Spirit to lock them up together. Master, you've been here for almost half a month. Ye Guang saw that Sima Yue was almost done with her preparations, and the saint beasts in the surrounding area were almost wiped out by her, so he reminded her. Yes, it's time for us to leave. Sima Yue nodded. I wonder how the capital is now. Let's wait for Little Roar to return before we head back. After she finished speaking, she called out to little Roar in her heart a few times, telling him that she was about to leave. She told him to come back quickly, or else she would leave him behind. "You heartless you." Little Roar complained, then said to the spirit beasts that were happily chatting beside him, "I'm leaving. Sigh, don't miss me too much." After saying that, it flew towards Sima Yue, leaving the female monkey looking at it reluctantly. Sima Yue sensed the situation on Little Roar's side and her face was filled with black lines. This guy, he actually went to flirt with girls again. No, he went to flirt with spirit beasts. "You, I'm back." Little Roar came back and threw himself into Sima Yue's embrace. Sima Yue grabbed Little Roar's neck and brought him in front of her, looking left and right. You, what are you looking at?" Little Roar blinked his big eyes and asked. "I'm looking to see if you're really an auspicious beast," Sima Yue said. Little Roar shook his head and said with incomparable arrogance, "Can you tell? I only see a perverted beast." Sima Yue threw Little Roar away and sat on Yaguang, saying, "Let's go." After receiving the order, Yaguang broke into a run. Little Roar found his balance in the air and saw that they had already left. He complained unhappily, "She actually treated a handsome and confident ancient divine beast like this. As expected, a woman's heart is the most poisonous. However, other female beasts don't have any immunity against me. Why is Yu always so violent? Could it be that she was a man in her past life? That's not right, wasn't she Yu in her past life? Sigh, what a headache." Unable to think of an answer, he saw that Sima Yue and the rest had already run far away. He hurriedly chased after them and landed on Yaguang's head, looking forward with a commanding attitude. With Yaguang's speed, they quickly returned to Yen City. Sima Yue first went to the inn and found out that Sima Lai and the rest had already left 10 days ago. She directly went to the Spirit Master Guild and took the teleportation array to return to the capital. One day later, Sima Yue arrived at the capital and directly returned to the general's residence. "Fifth young master, you're finally back." When the butler saw Sima Yue, he excitedly ran over. Hee, I'm back, where's grandfather?" Sima Yue smiled and asked. "The general is in the living room." The butler said, "I'll go find grandfather." Sima Yue finished speaking and wanted to leave, but was stopped by the butler. "Fifth young master, it's better if you don't go now, the people from the Nalan clan are here." The butler said, "The people from the Nalan clan are here? Nalan clan? What did they come here for?" Sima Yue asked. Didn't she ask Bei Gong Tang and the rest to cause trouble for Nalan clan? Why did they have the time to come here to cause trouble? It's not Nalan clan, it's the great elder of the Nalan clan. He said he wants to see you. The butler said, but the general saw that they didn't look friendly and was afraid that they were up to no good, so he instructed that if you came back, you shouldn't go to the living room. Great elder? Sima Yue searched her memories for the great elder of the Nalan clan. It was said that he was the strongest person in the Nalan clan other than the old ancestor. He was just a step away from breaking through to the Spirit Saint realm. Sima Yue originally wanted to go to the living room to meet the great elder, but the butler stubbornly refused to let her go. She also thought that Sima Lai wasn't so weak that he couldn't even handle an elder, so she gave up and returned to her own courtyard. The butler gave a look to the guard at the side, indicating that he should inform them when the people from the Nalan clan left. After that, he followed Sima Yue and left together. Returning to her own courtyard, Sima Yue didn't know whether to laugh or cry when she saw that the butler was guarding her closely. Did he still think that she was that young and inexperienced youth who was easily hurt and was afraid that she would get hurt? She kept this feeling of being touched in her heart. Thinking about the Nalan clan, she laughed coldly in her heart. She smiled and looked at the butler. Butler, did something happen to the Nalan clan recently? Chapter 105. Fifth young master, how did you know? The housekeeper looked at Sima Yue in surprise. The Nalan family had kept this matter a secret. If they hadn't been paying attention to the Nalan family's matters, they wouldn't have known about it. Didn't the fifth young master just return to the capital city? How did he know? Ahem, I'm just guessing. Sima Yue said, otherwise, The first elder of the Nalan family wouldn't have come to our house. I heard that Nalan he was injured when he went to Luo mountain range, and since he came back, he has been in seclusion. Only a few of the guards who went with her came back alive. I don't know what happened to them. The butler sighed, his words filled with schadenfreude. Hearing that, Sima Yue was overjoyed. She knew that she would never miscalculate. "Young master, you're back." When Chun Jian and Yun Yu heard Sima Yue's voice, they came out of the house and looked at Sima Yue in surprise. Ever since Sima Yue left, the two of them did not have much to do. The general allowed them to cultivate on their own, which was why their strength had increased in the past few months. When Sima Yue saw the two of them, she smiled and asked, "Did you miss young master?" "Young master is being naughty again," Chun Jian said with a smile. "Young master is often not at home now, of course we miss you." Yun Yu said, "How long will young master be staying this time?" "I should be going to the academy tomorrow." Sima Yue said, "I see that both of you have improved a lot. I wonder if your culinary skills have improved as well? Go, prepare dinner for this young master, I'm starving to death." Chun Jian and Yun Yu looked at each other and said in unison, "Young master, please wait a moment. We'll do it right away." After that, the two of them bowed and left. They went to the kitchen to prepare dinner for her. Sima Yue was about to return to her room when she saw the housekeeper still standing in the courtyard. She waved her hand at him and said, "Go do your work. Since I'm back here, I won't go see that rotten old man from the Nalan family." The housekeeper was indeed busy. He looked at her hesitantly, then cupped his hands and said, "Then this old servant will leave." Go on. Sima Yue waved her hand and waited for the steward to leave before returning to her own house. After a while, Chun Jian and Yun Yu brought dinner over. Looking at the delicious dishes, Sima Yue couldn't help but steal a bite. "It seems that your culinary skills didn't drop when I wasn't here." Hearing her praise, Yun Yu Yue both smiled. Fifth young master. Just as Sima Yue was about to start eating, a guard shouted from the courtyard, "Young master, master send a visit Yue." Young master, T-master send Yue young Yue and Yue teat teat bring it over and follow me. Sima Yue went to Sima Yue's study and Chun Jian followed behind her while carrying the dishes. When they were outside the study, Sima Yue took the tray and signaled Chun Jian to go back. The guards outside the study were ordered to open the door for Sima Yue when they saw her. Sima Lai was looking down at something. When he heard her voice, he didn't even raise his head and said, "Come and sit down to eat." Sima Yue placed the dishes on the table and reached out to take the letter from Sima Lai's hand. She placed a bowl of rice in his hand and said, "Since we're eating, don't look at these things." Sima Lai allowed her to place the letter to the side and accompanied her to eat dinner. After dinner, he asked the servants to clean up the dishes and even asked them to make her a cup of tea. Sima Yue looked at Sima Lai nervously. She felt that he was acting a little strange today. She had left for so long and only just met, but he didn't ask her what she was doing. He also didn't say why he called her over and only accompanied her to eat dinner and drink tea. Cough, grandfather, if there's nothing else, I'll go back first. I still have to go to the academy tomorrow. Sima Yue felt that this was a sign that Sima Lai was going to get angry and wanted to use this opportunity to escape. No rush, there's still some time before tomorrow. Sima Lai drank a mouthful of tea and slowly put the teacup down. Sima Yue picked up the teacup and drank tea. Sima Lai didn't say anything and she didn't say anything either. The Nalan clan came today. In the end, it was Sima Lai who couldn't hold it in and spoke first. Heard. Sima Yue nodded. She went quiet again after that. Sima Lai looked at Sima Yue and was puzzled. In the past, every time something happened, she would ask until the end. Why was she so quiet today? He wanted to reprimand her but couldn't. He sighed in his heart. He really couldn't reprimand her. You should know why they came, right? Sima Lai said. I don't know. Sima Yue said, the housekeeper didn't tell me. They came to ask you for people. Sima Lai stared at Sima Yue, trying to see something from her face. However, Sima Yoyue's expression didn't change at all. She didn't feel guilty at all, so he directly asked, "They said that you killed Nalan Chi and they want you to pay with your life." When Sima Yoyue heard this, she secretly thought that it was because of Nalan Chi. However, didn't something happen to Nalan He? Why did he still have the mood to find trouble with her? Hehe, without any evidence, how can you say that I killed someone? She smiled slightly. So it's true? Sima Lai asked. Sima Yue nodded. She didn't plan to hide this matter from Sima Lai and said, "It was the morning when I left home. On the way to the academy, he brought a spirit master bodyguard to kill me. However, he was killed by me in the end. Actually, on the morning of Nalan Chi's death, the bodyguard he sent to protect Sima Yue had already returned and told him what happened in the alley." Seeing that Sima Yue didn't hide it, Sima Lai said, "Right now, the Nalan clan can't find Nalan Chi's body. No matter who asks, you just have to deny it." Sima Yue nodded. "However, I didn't want to talk to you about this matter today." Sima Lai changed the topic. "Tell me, did you do the recent things in the Nalan clan?" "What things?" Sima Yue didn't recover for a moment as she looked up at Sima Lai and asked. This time, Nalan He went to Puluo mountain range to steal the golden snake fruit. On the way back, he was chased by various spirit beasts. This matter has something to do with you, right? Sima Yoyue's heart thumped. How did he know? Thinking that she couldn't let him know that she went to steal the golden snake fruit, she shook her head and denied, "Grandfather, how could the Nalan clan's matters have anything to do with me? Who knows if they've provoked some kind of spirit beast, and that's why they've been hunted down." "All right, don't quibble." Sima Lai said, "I saw you guys." "What?" Sima Yue was really surprised this time. Could it be that he recognized her even when she disguised herself like that? Chapter 106. The subtle changes on Sima Yoyue's face did not escape Sima Lai's eyes. He glared at Sima Yue and pulled a long face as he said, "Still not admitting it?" Sima Yue laughed dryly and said, "Grandpa, weren't you fighting with the full ape? How did you see us?" She decided that as long as Sima Lai did not expose her, she would not directly admit it. I didn't see you, but I saw that kid from the Chu family. The 3 people beside you should be your roommates, right? They were all there, so how could you not be there, brat?" Sima Lai said, "Although I was fighting, I still managed to catch a glimpse of them from time to time." Hearing what Sima Lai said, Sima Yue let out a long sigh of relief in her heart. Right now, he only thought that she was watching from the slope. If he knew that she was the one who had snatched the golden snake fruit, then the matter regarding Mo Sha would not be able to be kept. Moreover, she would definitely be taught a harsh lesson. In any case, the golden snake fruit couldn't be eaten directly. When the time came, she would just refine it into a pill and give it to them to eat. Hee, Grandpa, aren't you afraid of being hurt by the full ape? Sima Yue relaxed as she let go of her worries. The Nalan family's matter was caused by you guys? Although it was a question, Sima Lai's tone was quite certain. Sima Yue nodded and said, "I heard them say that when they return from Puluo mountain range, they will come and find trouble with our family. So we might as well let them stay in the mountains. But Grandpa, how are those guys now? What else can we do? More than half of the bodyguards we brought with us have died, and the ones who are still alive have lost half of their lives. Nalan Lan is now hanging on by a thread, and Nalan He is missing an arm." Speaking of the Nalan clan's miserable state, Sima Lai's face was filled with schadenfreude. "They're still alive," Sima Yue said in disappointment. Sima Lai glared at Sima Yue and said, "This is also a heavy blow to the Nalan family. At least during this period of time, they won't dare to challenge us directly. That bullsh asterisk T first elder still came to find trouble with me." Sima Yue curled her lips. She had wanted to kill Nalan He in the Puluo mountain range. With the death of the clan head, the Nalan clan would definitely be in chaos for a while, but she had never thought that he would only lose an arm and nothing more. What you think is actually not wrong. It's just that they are weak in this aspect, but they have found other ways to make up for it. Sima Lai sighed and said, "What's wrong?" Sima Yue looked at Sima Lai in confusion. After you left the capital, the Nalan family invited an alchemist to join their family. It is said that the alchemist is about to reach the 3rd rank. Through this, they have attracted many spirit masters who cultivate on their own to join the Nalan clan. Furthermore, they have been constantly feeding off our business through the sale of pills. Your big brother and second brother have also been worried about this recently. Sima Lai said, it's also grandfather's fault for not having a good temper and not having a good relationship with the alchemists. That's why no one is willing to come out and help us at this time. No wonder their clan head is like this, yet they still dare to come here and cause a ruckus. Sima Yue said, but grandfather, you don't have to worry. Don't they have a 2nd rank alchemist? We will also have one. She understood the attraction of an alchemist to cultivators and the thirst of those mercenaries for pills. If the Nalan family had an alchemist joining them, they would indeed have the capital to continue being arrogant. However, that was under the premise that the Sima family would not be able to find an alchemist. They were confident that Sima Lai's relationship with the alchemists was not good, so no one would be willing to join their family. However, they did not expect that an alchemist would appear from within the Sima family. Sima Yue thought back to the time when she had just arrived in this world. Sima Lai had given her medicine and the two of them had ridiculed those alchemists for being arrogant and even said that she would become an alchemist. Now, in less than half a year, she had already fulfilled her initial promise. A 2nd rank alchemist. She muttered, I want to see how powerful a 2nd rank alchemist like you is. What did you say? Sima Lai saw that Sima Yue was muttering to herself and asked. Nothing. Grandfather, if there's nothing else, I'll go back first. Sima Yue said. What do you mean there's nothing else? Sima Lai remembered that there was something he had not said and asked, where have you been for the past 10 days? Your 3rd brother only said that you had something to do and went out first. He didn't say where you went and what you did. You made us worry to death. Sima Yue then remembered about the spirit beasts and said, I didn't go there either. I just went to find a friend and brought back some tamed spirit beasts. Didn't you say that those people could come back at any time? I just wanted to see if there was any way to increase our strength. It just so happens that the Nalan family has attracted quite a few spirit masters, so we can use spirit beasts to make up for it. After she finished speaking, she called out the tamed spirit beasts from the spirit pearl. Suddenly, the study room was filled with spirit beasts. Sima Lai was shocked by the sudden change in front of his eyes. After that, he looked at Sima Yue and said, where did these come from? Didn't you say that you found a friend to get them? Sima Yue said, half of them are saint beasts and there are a few 3rd rank saint beasts. These are all left for my brothers. With their current strength, they should be able to contract a 2nd spirit beast, right? As for those lower ranked ones, we can take them to the shop to make up for the loss of the pills. The higher ranked ones can be contracted by the trusted guards of the residence. What do you think, grandfather? Sima Lai looked at these spirit beasts excitedly. He had originally wanted to find a batch of spirit beasts for the people of the residence to contract, but the higher ranked ones were not cheap. When he went to the Beast Tamer Master Guild, they said that they could only tame spirit beasts below saint beasts. For spirit beasts above saint beasts, they could only provide 1 or 2 spirit beasts per month. Other than providing the spirit beasts himself, he also had to pay a large sum of money to tame them. He did not expect that Sima Yue had left to do this. He was extremely excited and at the same time, he sighed in his heart at Sima Yue's meticulousness. He had just told her about the potential dangers and she immediately thought of using spirit beasts to increase her strength. Alright, there's also something else. That person told me that the spirit beasts she tamed are quite special. If she contracts with a person, both parties will receive strength feedback during the contract. The stronger one can even directly advance in rank. Furthermore, when the master advances in rank, the spirit beast will advance in rank as well. Sima Yue added. What? Sima Lai suspected that he had heard wrongly and asked again, you said that the contract can advance in rank? When the master advances in rank, the spirit beast will advance in rank as well. Yes, that person told me that. He said that her spirit beast taming technique is quite special. However, I don't know if it's true or not. Sima Yue said, Grandfather, find someone to deal with these spirit beasts first. As for the matter of the Nayland family's pills, it should be settled soon. Chapter 107. Sima Lai saw that Sima Yue was so confident, so he believed her words from the bottom of his heart. It was as if there would really be an alchemist coming to help the Sima family soon. Alright, you can go back first. I will properly deal with these spirit beasts. Sima Lai said. The Sima family suddenly had so many spirit beasts, and it was without the knowledge of outsiders. If they kept it a secret, it would be one of their trump cards. Therefore, this matter could only be handled by someone trustworthy. Those who were able to obtain the spirit beast as a reward were definitely loyal to the manor. That's right, that person said that this matter is confidential and won't be told to anyone else. Alright, I'm going back. After handing over the spirit beast to Sima Yue left the study and no longer asked about the distribution of the spirit beasts. Sima Lai had lived for over 100 years longer than her, so he would definitely be more cautious and reasonable when dealing with these matters. After returning to her own courtyard, she told Chun Jian and the others not to disturb her. After locking herself in her room, she flashed into the soul pearl. Emo Sha. She came to the side of the golden snake fruit tree, and as expected, she saw Emo Sha meditating there. Emo Sha opened his seductive eyes, causing her heart to be filled with doubt. Why did she feel a sense of familiarity every time she looked into Emo Sha's eyes? What is it? Emo Sha asked. I want to become a Tier 2 alchemist as soon as possible. Sima Yue said as she collected her thoughts. Why? Sima Yue told him about the Nayland family and said, Grandfather doesn't like those alchemists, so he doesn't have a good relationship with them. At this time, those alchemists are willing to help us. It wasn't an easy task to find an alchemist outside of the pill refinement hall. Therefore, I must become a second-grade alchemist as soon as possible, only then can I contend with the Nayland clan. Emo Sha furrowed his brows and said, You just became a first-ranked alchemist not too long ago. Wanting to become a second-ranked alchemist in such a short period of time isn't an easy task. I know. That's why I came to you for help. You will definitely be able to help me become a grade 2 alchemist. It's not like there's no way. Emo Sha said, However, no matter what you do, you have to take one step at a time. That's why your best method is to practice diligently and quickly familiarize yourself with every step of refining pills. Practice makes perfect. When you're ready, you'll naturally become a rank 2 martial artist. Will that take a long time? Sima Yue asked. With your talent and my guidance, it shouldn't take too long. Mosha said, Alright, I'll go out and make some arrangements. Sima Yue said and went out. She originally wanted to go to the academy tomorrow, but with the current situation, she had to practice in seclusion. But if she was always in the soul, would Sima Lai not be able to sense her aura and discover something? After thinking about it, she still decided to go to the academy. In the dormitory, even if Fatty Chu and the rest were there, they wouldn't notice that she wasn't in the room. After making up her mind, she began to cultivate in her room. The next day, she hurriedly rushed to the academy. Chun Jian and Yun Yu sighed when they saw Sima Yue's empty room. In the past, they were always beaten and scolded by Sima Yue. Now that she was nowhere to be seen, they had nothing to do. This kind of change made the two of them very emotional. But they also made a decision in their hearts. Now that young master treated them well and gave them enough time and resources to cultivate, they had to work hard to increase their strength so that they could protect her in the future. Now that they were still practicing, there were no classes every day. The students could stay in the academy, cultivate in the dormitory, or go to the library to read. When Sima Yue arrived at the academy, Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei had already left. Thinking about how the two of them were always elusive, she wasn't surprised. Fatty Chu had returned to his own clan, leaving only Wei Ziqi alone in the pavilion in the courtyard to read. Yue. Hearing the door open, Wei Ziqi looked up and saw Sima Yue. He stood up in surprise. Ziqi, why are you alone? Sima Yue walked over and sat down. Ouyang Fei and Bei Gong went out early in the morning. Fatty went home yesterday and hasn't returned yet. Wei Ziqi said, Yue, where did you go when we were in Yen City? Why did you leave without saying a word? Sima Yue rubbed her nose and said, I had some urgent matters to settle at that time, so I asked third brother to pass on the message. Have we handed in our mission? Wei Ziqi nodded. We handed it in the second day after we came back. Luckily, I was the one who kept the medicinal ingredients. Although you weren't around, the four of us had extra spirit beasts, so we managed to make up for your portion. So we got full marks for our mission this time. Really? Hearing that they got full marks for their mission, Sima Yue was happy. Thank you all. What's there to thank? Wei Ziqi said, if you didn't teach us how to work together, we wouldn't have been able to get so many spirit beast corpses. How long are you staying this time? I think it'll be quite a while. Sima Yue said, I think I'll be in closed-door cultivation for the rest of the time, so I won't come out often. You're in closed-door cultivation? Wei Ziqi looked at Sima Yue in astonishment. Normally, closed-door cultivation was for the sake of advancing in rank. Could it be that she had touched the barrier to advancing in rank again? Did she have to be so hurtful? If he knew that Sima Yue had already advanced in rank, he was afraid that his little heart would be hurt even more. Yes, I'll go back and tidy up the house first. Sima Yue stood up and returned to the house after she finished speaking. Wei Ziqi looked at Sima Yue's back and sighed secretly. She was working so hard on the poison, what right did he have to not work hard? He made a decision in his heart. As long as he didn't go to the library to look for information, he would rest in the room. Sima Yue cleaned the house once, then entered the spirit pearl to practice refining pills. She was already very familiar with refining first-ranked pills, so when Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei returned in the evening, she had already refined a few batches of pills. Knowing that they had returned, Sima Yue came out of the spirit pearl and chatted with them for a while. She told them that she would be in closed-door cultivation before returning to the spirit pearl. Let's start the closed-door cultivation now. Sima Yue looked at Emo Sha and said. Emo Sha nodded and said, from now on, you'll cultivate in the spirit pearl during the day and recover your mental and spiritual energy at night. Although this golden snake fruit tree can release energy that can nourish the soul, it needs to absorb moonlight. So at night we'll need to go outside. Sima Yue looked at the golden snake fruit tree and realized that it was indeed not surrounded by white fog like before. Most likely, the moonlight in its body had already been used up. You've already refined pills for the whole day. Recover your mental strength tonight. Emo Sha said. Sima Yue nodded. With a thought, she brought the golden snake fruit tree and Emo Sha out of the spirit pearl. It just so happened that the moon was bright tonight. She let little Roar go and lift up two of the roof tiles so that the moonlight could shine in. When the moonlight shone on the golden snake fruit tree, the leaves immediately released a faint energy. Sima Yue and Emo Sha each sat cross-legged on one side and used the golden snake fruit tree to recover their souls. Chapter 108. Sima Yue began her crazy days of practicing alchemy. During the day, she would practice alchemy in her soul pearl, and at night, she would come out to recover her mental strength. At the same time, she would replenish the golden snake fruit tree's energy. In order to be able to help the Sima clan, Sima Yue mostly refined the pills that she usually used when refining pills. Blood-clotting pills, chi recovery powder, these were all pills that mercenaries and spirit masters usually prepared. The reason why the Nayland family was favored by the mercenaries was because their prices were lower than the Sima families. Speaking of this, the Sima family felt helpless. Because they didn't have an alchemist, their shops originally didn't sell medicinal pills, but because of this, their performance in other aspects was affected. Helpless, they could only go to other shops to buy pills at a slightly lower price. Then, they would sell them at the normal price. It was also because of this that the price of their medicinal pills couldn't be too low. Seeing the Nayland clan use this to suppress them, they could only watch helplessly. The Sima family did not have an alchemist, and this was the crux of the problem. Sima Lai had also thought of recruiting an alchemist, but the arrogant attitude of those guys made him unable to succeed in the end. Sima Yue also understood that when concocting pills, she would concoct more commonly used pills. Furthermore, these pills were easy to concoct, and the ingredients in her soul pearl were also complete. After a month, she had a few hundred bottles of pills in her hands. On this day, after she took the pills out of the furnace, Mo Sha appeared in front of her again. You can try refining a second-tier pill now. Mo Sha said, It's done. Sima Yue looked at Mo Sha. Previously, he said that if he didn't say anything, she would continue concocting Tier 1 pills. She had always listened to him. Although she felt that she could already concoct Level 2 pills a few days ago, she still continued to concoct Level 1 pills. Mo Sha nodded his head and said, although you've been refining first-ranked pills for a long time, it's still the same saying, practice makes perfect. Practicing more first-ranked pills can increase your chances of becoming a second-ranked alchemist. I understand, Sima Yue said. With a thought from Mo Sha, a piece of paper appeared in front of them. This is the pill formula for the second-grade pill that I found in the study. Recover your mental strength now, and then memorize this pill formula. Take a look at what you need to pay attention to first, and then I'll tell you when I'm refining. Okay. Sima Yue picked up the prescription and sat down on the floor to study it. Mo Sha watched as she focused on studying the pill recipe, and his eyes flickered. During this period of time, it could be said that he was together with her day and night. He saw with his own eyes that her alchemy level had increased from a low first level to a high first level. Her success rate had increased from 60% to over 90%, and the number of pills she could concoct had increased from 2 to 3 pills per furnace to nearly 10 pills. He had never seen such a talented and hard-working person before. Her tenacity and perseverance moved him. Back then he was just as talented as she was, but before his life changed he didn't work as hard as she did. In order not to disturb Sima Yue's research, he left the alchemy room. Sima Yue had a photographic memory, so she was able to memorize the pill formula after reading it once. However, she didn't immediately start concocting the pill. Instead, she repeatedly pondered over the pill formula. Only after she had thoroughly understood the pill formula did she stand up and prepare to begin. She stood up. She didn't know when the ingredients for the white lotus pill had been placed on the table. She smiled knowingly and closed her eyes to recall the pill formula. Then she started to refine them. Sima Yue was already very familiar with the steps of refining, so there weren't any big problems. When she finished refining the last ingredient, Mo Sha appeared behind her. The white lotus pill is one of the easier second-level pills. The process is also simpler than the others. However, compared to the first-level pills, it's slightly more complicated. But just this point alone requires a higher level of mental strength. Just like what he said before, mental strength was very important to a cultivator. No matter what, whether or not one could walk further depended on it. Begin, I'll watch from the side. Sima Yue nodded and began to place the refined ingredients in the order of the pill formula. The first time, she failed without any surprises. However, she wasn't discouraged. The difference between a first-level pill and a second-level pill wasn't small. It was normal for her to fail the first time. She let out a long sigh and concluded the reason for her failure. She picked up the ingredients and started to refine them again. Mo Sha looked at Sima Yue with satisfaction. If it was in the past, he might have taken her under his wing. He believed that in time, she would definitely stand at the top of the world. The first failure was during the fusion. The second failure was during the condensation. On the third try, she successfully refined a white lotus pill. Although this pill was as ugly as the one she refined when she first learned how to refine pills, it meant that she had stepped into the ranks of a second-level alchemist. Not bad, you can grasp the requirements of refining a second-level pill after 3 tries. Mo Sha said, once you feel the difference between a first-level pill and a second-level pill, it will be easy for you to refine other second-level pills. Sima Yue looked at the pill in her hand and smiled happily. Recover your mental strength, then continue. Just as Sima Yue was in seclusion to refine pills, the Sima family was once again in danger. In the study of the general's residence, Sima Lai, Sima Yuming, Sima Yuqi and the steward were all frowning. Grandfather, those shops are no longer willing to provide us with pills. Sima Yuming said, once we sell all our pills, those mercenaries and spirit masters will no longer come to our shops. Our other businesses will also be affected. Sima Yuqi slapped the table beside him and said angrily, they said before that they would continue to provide us with pills, but now they're going back on their word. It must be that the Nalan clan gave those shops some benefits. Now is not the time to find out the reason. Sima Lai said with furrowed eyebrows, how long can our pills last? There should be another half a month. Sima Yuming said, because the price of the Nalan clan's pills is lower than ours, the number of people who come to our shop has decreased by quite a bit. All of our sales have decreased by a third to half. There's only half a month left? Grandfather, we have to find a new shop within this half a month and get them to provide us with pills. Sima Yuqi said. Without an alchemist of our own, this is going to be troublesome. Sima Lai said, Steward, send someone to recruit an alchemist. No matter what the other party asks, as long as it is within the limits of the general's residence, we will accept it. Yes, General. The steward bowed and retreated. Based on the relationship between the general's residence and those alchemists, it would not be easy to find an alchemist as soon as possible. Looks like we can only go outside and find an alchemist who has no grudges with us. The steward sighed and went to arrange it. Chapter 109. Half a month later, Sima Yue had already familiarized herself with the refinement of level 2 elixir pills. She was a little tired after a long period of refinement, so she gave herself a break and came out to see what her roommates were doing. Yue, you're out? Fatty Chu hurried over when he saw Sima Yue. Fatty, what's wrong? Seeing your anxious face, could it be that there's a beauty chasing after you? Sima Yue teased with a smile. Fatty Chu came over and looked at Sima Yue as he said, I do want a beauty to chase after me, but it's a pity that Big Brother's handsome looks aren't appreciated by a beauty yet. Aya, that's not what I wanted to tell you. If you don't come out, I'm going to call you. What happened? Sima Yue asked. It's the general's residence. They've been in big trouble recently. Hey Yue, why are you pulling me? Before Fatty Chu could finish his sentence, Sima Yue pulled him away. Come back with me, he said as he walked. Tell me what happened during this time. When Sima Yu returned to the general's residence, other than Sima Yu Ming and Sima Yu Qi, even Sima Yu Ran and Sima Yu Lu had returned. This was the first time the whole family gathered together after Sima Yue was beaten up. Seeing that Sima Yue had returned, Sima Lai and the others were also very surprised. Previously, they had sent people to the academy to look for her, but Fatty Chu and the rest had brought back a letter saying that she was in closed-door cultivation. They did not want to disturb her, but they did not expect her to come back directly. Seeing Fatty Chu who had returned with him, Sima Lai said, Housekeeper, bring young Master Chu to the living room for a cup of tea. Yes, General. The butler took a step forward and said, Young Master Chu, please. Fatty Chu looked at Sima Yue and said, Then I'll go first. If you need anything, send someone to call me. I have some say in the Chu family now. Sima Yue smiled and nodded at him. She would remember that he was willing to lend them a helping hand at this time. Fatty Chu cupped his hands towards the others and followed the housekeeper. The smile on Sima Yue's face slowly faded as she turned around to look at Sima Lai and said, Grandfather, Big Brother, I heard from Big Brother that the general's residence has been searching for half a month and still hasn't found an alchemist? It's not that I didn't find it. Sima Yuming said, It's just that when those alchemists heard about the situation in the general's residence, they opened their mouths like lions and raised many excessive requests. Grandpa got angry and chased them out. After he finished speaking, he looked at Sima Lai with resentment. Cough cough, taking advantage of people's perilous state. This kind of alchemist still wants us to worship them, what a joke. Sima Lai didn't feel that he had done anything wrong and was still angry on behalf of those alchemists. Sima Yue realized that Sima Lai seemed to have a huge prejudice against alchemists. As long as he met such an alchemist, he would not be able to suppress his fiery temper. Grandfather, we've already reached this stage. Can't you control your temper? Sima Yuming said with a headache. Grandfather, although you're stronger than the ancestors of the Nalan clan, they won't go head-to-head with us now. We have to think of a way to hold on to our family business. Sima said. Our clan has few people and time is short. That Nalan clan is a clan that has existed for a long time. They've been attacking us in business, so grandfather can't just go up and kill them. Sima Ran analyzed, but they're constantly weakening our strength. We have to think of a way to stop this from happening. I think we should continue to look for alchemists. Sima Lu said, in such a big Dongchen kingdom, could it be that all the alchemists have been bought over by the Nalan clan? Or are they just taking advantage of the situation? But we ran out of pills yesterday. Since yesterday, there have been fewer and fewer customers coming to our shop. Sima Yuming said, in such a short period of time, where are we going to find an alchemist? Besides, Sima Yue sat at her seat and listened to their discussion. Seeing that they were all frowning, she said, how many pills do you need? Maybe I can. Fifth bro, you don't have to get involved in this matter. You should go back to the sect and cultivate. We'll take care of things at home. Sima Yuming interrupted Sima Yue's words. It was enough for them to worry about these things. There was no need for Sima Yue to worry with them. I have pills. Sima Yue said. It's useless even if you have pills. What, you have pills? Sima Yuming spoke halfway before he realized what Sima Yue had said. He looked at Sima Yue in shock. Sima Yue nodded, saying, I have first-ranked pills. I can use them for emergencies. Also, there's no cost to it. You can lower the price to the Nalan clan. Fifth bro, you really have pills? Fifth bro, how do you have pills? You have all those pills? How many do you have? Everyone came back to their senses and looked at her. I have all the commonly used pills. There's blood-clotting pills, chi recovery powder and so on. Sima Yue said. With a wave of her hand, a few hundred bottles of pills appeared on the floor of the study. These are all pills? Sima Yuming asked in disbelief. Brothers, you'll know once you see. Sima Yue said. Sima Yuchi and the other three stepped forward and each took a jade bottle. They opened it and it was filled with pills. These pills add up to 1,000. Sima Yuchi said excitedly. Sima Lai stepped forward as well and opened a jade bottle. It was filled with pills. Fifth bro, where did you get so many pills? Sima Yuming looked at Sima Yue excitedly. How much did you spend? Sima Yue rubbed her nose, saying, I didn't ask for money. You didn't ask for money? Then how did you get them? You, don't agree to do bad things for these pills. Everyone in the house turned their gaze from the pills to Sima Yue. Sima Yue's face was filled with black lines because of their reaction. Why did they have such a reaction? I refined these pills myself, so I didn't ask for money. It's not like what you think, I didn't agree to do bad things. Hearing her explanation, they finally relaxed. As long as nothing happened to her, it was fine. You really scared us to death. Sima Yuchi said, there's no free lunch in this world. We were worried that something would happen to you. So it was you who refined them. We can relax now. What? You refined them? This time, everyone was even more shocked than when they saw the pills. They looked at her and were speechless. Fifth brother, did you refine all these medicinal pills? You? When did you learn how to refine pills? Sima Yue wondered if he was hallucinating. They never knew that Sima Yue knew how to refine pills. Suddenly, something like this happened. Everyone felt like they were in a dream. Sima Yue secretly wondered if there was a need for such a big reaction. She smiled and said, didn't I say that I wanted to learn how to refine pills the last time? I started learning when I could cultivate. It would have been better if she didn't say it. Now that she said it, everyone's shocked hearts were hit hard again. Chapter 110. Fifth bro, you're saying that you used half a year to become an alchemist? Sima Yu looked at Sima Yu, doubting her words. Sima Yu looked at the pill, then looked at her. He thought about how she suddenly knew medicine, and thought that this pill refining was from her original memory. That was why he was less surprised than the others. Haha. Sima Lai laughed heartily as he came to Sima Yue's side. He patted her shoulder and said proudly, I knew that the heavens would not cut off my Sima family. Back then, you said that you wanted to become an alchemist. I didn't expect that you really did it. Not bad, not bad. Sima Yue grimaced in pain as she endured Sima Lai's strength. When he was agitated, he did not know how to control his strength. This slap landed on her shoulder and almost knocked her to the ground. Now that we have so many pills, and fifth bro knows how to refine pills, I'm afraid that the Nalan clan's plan to use pills to defeat us will be foiled. Sima Yuchi said. Fifth bro, it's all thanks to you this time. Sima Yuming said. As long as I can help. Sima Yue smiled. Take these first. Tell me which pills you need and I'll refine them. Also, I'll refine some commonly used ones. Once I'm done, I'll have Chun Jian and the others deliver them to you. All right. Sima Yuchi kept the pill away. Oh right, what ingredients do you need to refine pills? I'll get someone to prepare them. It's okay, I can handle the herbs myself. Sima Yue said. What method do you have? Sima Lai asked. We don't have this pill, but we do have a lot of medicinal ingredients. Last time when I went to the Pu Luo mountain range, I picked up a spatial ring. There are many medicinal ingredients inside, enough for me to refine pills. Sima Yue said, don't tell anyone that I can refine pills, so don't make too much of a commotion with our herbs. Big brother, second brother, you don't have to calculate the cost of these pills and herbs. You can set the price however you want. If the Nalan clan wants to use this method to pull us down, we can do the same. But Sima Yuming and Sima Yuchi smiled at each other. Previously, it was the Nalan family who attacked. Now it was their turn. Since we have the pills now, Yuming, Yuchi, you guys can go and do what you need to do. Sima Lai said. Alright, then we'll head to the shop first. Sima Yuming and Sima Yuchi stood up, bowed to Sima Lai and turned to leave. You ran? Yulu, do you too want to return to the academy? Sima Lai asked. The academy doesn't have any classes right now, so let's stay at home and see if there's anything we can help with. Sima Yuran said. Alright. Grandfather, since there's nothing else, we'll head back first. Sima Yulu said. Sima Lai was in a good mood now that a huge matter had been resolved. Yue, stay for a while. Sima Yue was just about to leave with them when she heard Sima Lai's words and returned to her seat. Sima Yulu and the other two glanced at her before leaving. Only grandfather and granddaughter were left in the house. Sima Yu asked, Grandfather, is something the matter? The spirit beasts that you brought back last time, I've already distributed them to the clan. Sima Lai said. Then when they contracted, did they advance in rank? Sima Yue asked. This is exactly why I asked you to stay. Sima Lai said, those who contracted saint beasts all advanced by 2 or 3 small ranks. Those who contracted low-ranked spirit beasts also advanced by 1 rank. They really advanced in rank. Sima Yue said happily. Since it was true that they could advance in rank, then the book that said that their spirit beasts would advance in rank would also be true. Sima Lai nodded with certainty. Now our clan's strength has quietly increased by a lot. Now that you can refine pills, we have more confidence in our battle with the Nalan clan. Grandfather, there's something I don't understand. Sima Yue said. What? Grandfather, aren't you the general of the Dongqin kingdom? The Nalan clansmen are going against us, but why is there no movement from the royal family? Sima Yue voiced out her doubts. The main thing is that the Nalan clan is not an ordinary clan. Furthermore, they did not use force against us, so the royal family did not step in to stop them. Sima Lai said, but I feel that the most important reason is that His Majesty is wary of us and wants to use the Nalan clan to weaken our strength. But is it because grandfather's strength has increased? It's not just because of me. Sima Lai said, your 4 brothers seem to be very talented from the outside. In addition, my prestige in the Dongqin kingdom is increasing day by day. His Majesty is probably afraid that our achievements will shock him. Sima Yue pursed her lips. If it's really like this, then that whatever His Majesty is definitely not someone with foresight. The Sima clan did not have any thoughts about the throne at all. If it was just because Sima Lai's strength had increased and Sima Yuming's and the other brothers' talents had caused him to be wary of them, then His Majesty was definitely not someone with foresight. Oh right, in a few days, it will be His Majesty's birthday. Let us all attend. At that time, you will be able to see His Majesty. Sima Lai said. Oh, do you want to go when you see him? If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first. Sima Yue finished speaking and left. When she passed by the main courtyard, she remembered that Fatty Chu was still drinking tea in the living room. So she changed her route and went to the living room. This was also the first time Fatty Chu had come to the general's residence. The housekeeper got someone to serve him tea and then went to work. He drank a few cups of tea, but Sima Yue had not arrived yet. He decided to walk around, and just as he walked to the door, he bumped into the person who came in. You, why didn't you make a sound when you came in? How would I know that you would be at the door? Sima Yue said, what are you doing here? I just wanted to walk around the courtyard and then you came in. Fatty Chu said. All right. You haven't been to the general's residence before, right? Let's go, I'll bring you around. Before we go around, I'll go to the toilet. Fatty Chu remembered that Sima Yue was a girl and changed his words. Piff. Sima Yue looked at Fatty Chu's awkward expression and laughed. She reached out and hooked his neck, saying, let's go, I'll bring you to the toilet. After relieving himself, Sima Yue brought Fatty Chu around the general's residence. Seeing the simple decoration of the courtyard, Fatty Chu was very surprised. He thought that the general's residence would be grand and magnificent. Sima Yue brought him to a pavilion and sat down. She got someone to bring some snacks over and the two of them chatted while eating. All right, Yue, will you be going to His Majesty's birthday in a few days? You know about this too? Yes, my brother has a good relationship with the third prince. Because of this, our family was noticed by the royal family. They invited my father, brother and me to attend the banquet. Your grandfather is a general, you'll definitely be going, right? Banquets are the most boring things. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Sima Yue said. It's good that you don't go. The Nailan family will definitely be there. If you bump into them, they'll definitely find trouble with you. The Nailan family will be there too. Chapter 111. That's right. Fatty Chu cracked his melon seeds and said, I heard that it's His Majesty's 150th birthday and it's going to be a big event. All the top powers in the capital have been invited. You know the Nailan family, so they will naturally go. Not only them, the Alchemist Guild, Beast Tamer Guild and Spirit Master Guild will also send people to attend. Like us, we can only go because of the third prince. Sima Yue tapped her finger on the stone table. Looks like all the powers will be there that day. That's right. Fatty Chu nodded. To be honest, that day is a good opportunity to broaden your horizons. It'll be good if you can go and take a look. Maybe I'll go then. Sima Yue said. If you go, I'll have someone to talk to. Fatty Chu said, my brother wants me to go and broaden my horizons, but I don't have any interest in that. I also don't like to curry favor with the third prince. If you go, I won't be bored. We'll talk about it later. Then I'll go back first. Like I said, if there's anything you need me to do, just tell me. Fatty Chu stood up and said, I will. Sima Yue said with a smile. After sending Fatty Chu off, she returned to her own courtyard. Only the few of them knew that she was an alchemist, so everyone looked at her the same way. Only her closest relatives knew that she was no longer the same person as before. In the capital, everyone was paying attention to the Sima family and the Nailan family. One was the powerful Nailan family, the other was the powerful general's residence. They weren't willing to help either of them. If they stood on the wrong side, then what awaited them would be the disaster of making the wrong bet. Everyone knew that the Nailan family had invited an alchemist. They also knew that the Sima family didn't have a good relationship with alchemists. They thought that the Sima family would definitely lose this time. The news of the Sima family's shop selling out spread like wildfire. Many families could only shake their heads and sigh. This pill was indeed fatal to every family. However, not long after, the Sima family's shop started selling pills again, and the price was a third lower than before, which was even cheaper than the Nayland family's. To mercenaries who weren't rich, this price was undoubtedly a huge attraction. Soon, many mercenaries went to the Sima family's shop. The Nayland clan naturally received the news very quickly. The matter of the Sima family's medicinal pills being sold out was done by the Nayland clan's people in order to make the Sima family's shop lose its appeal. However, they didn't expect that they would actually launch another pill, and the price was even lower than their own. This made them feel very inconceivable. In the Nayland family's meeting hall, Nayland he sat on the main seat with a gloomy face. The two elders sat on the side while the others sat below. Patriarch, is it true that the Sima family still has medicinal pills? Second elder said. Yes. Nayland he nodded. I just received news that they are still selling pills. But didn't we buy the last of their pills? Those shops have already agreed that they won't continue to supply the Sima family. Where did they get the pills? Second elder said doubtfully. Could it be that someone disregarded the agreement with us and sold them pills privately? First elder said. It shouldn't be. Nayland he said. Even if those people disregarded the agreement and sold the pills to Sima Lai, they wouldn't be able to buy so many at once. Moreover, they can still push the price so low. Then Patriarch's meaning is, Nayland he was silent for a moment and said, if my guess is right, they should have found an alchemist. How is that possible? Second elder shook his head with certainty. The people we sent said that every alchemist who came in contact with the Sima family didn't succeed. How could they suddenly have an alchemist willing to join their family? Patriarch, first elder, second elder. A boss with a mustache sat down and said, according to the news from below, the Sima family suddenly had over 1,000 pills. No alchemist would be able to take out so many pills at once. Over 1,000 pills? This number made the usually calm first elder somewhat surprised. Are you sure? This little one is sure. There are indeed over 1,000 pills. The mustache man said. Moreover, the price of our pills is already set at the cost price. They are actually lower than us. If Sima Lai wants to attract customers like this and doesn't care about the cost, then they won't be able to hold on for long. Second elder said. I think so too. First elder said. Killing the goose that lays the golden eggs is not a long-term plan. Then do we need to lower the price of our pills? The mustache man asked. No need. Nayland he said. They shouldn't be able to hold on for long. Wait until their pills are sold out, then we'll see if they can continue. Other than the offerings and herbs we give to Master He, we are no longer earning money. If we lower the price, it will affect the future supply. Yes, Patriarch. Nayland he touched the empty sleeve of his left hand, his face gloomy and terrifying. Although he didn't have any direct evidence, his intuition told him that the Nayland family couldn't escape from the situation at Pu Luo mountain range. Patriarch, the gift for His Majesty's birthday next month has already been prepared. It just arrived at the treasury today. Compared to the Sima family's matter, His Majesty Dong Chen's birthday was also one of the things they were concerned about recently. It's here? Then let's go take a look. You guys go back and continue to pay attention to the situation over there. Nayland he said to the shop owner below. Yes. Two elders, let's go take a look at the birthday gift. The news that the Sima family shop was selling pills at a low price quickly spread among the mercenaries. Many mercenaries ran over to buy them. Because the price was cheap, they were willing to buy 2 more pills than usual. Within a few days, those pills were sold out. Just as everyone was waiting for the Sima family to stop supplying pills, they suddenly released another batch with the same price. This move made the eyes of the people in the capital drop. What did this mean? It meant that the Sima family had really invited an alchemist. And from the looks of the pills they were selling, that person was at least a second-grade alchemist. This news made Nayland he shocked for a while, but it didn't hit him. He immediately sent people to investigate the suppliers of the Sima family's herbs, trying to cut off their supply of herbs. However, the news he received was that the Sima family didn't buy any herbs from anyone. Could it be that their pills fell from the sky? The second elder was puzzled. Or could it be that there's a big force supporting them from behind? Nayland, he shook his head. Other than the Alchemist Guild, which force has the ability to help the Sima family in such a big way? But we all know about the relationship between Sima Lai and the Alchemist Guild. It's good enough that they didn't hit them when they were down. It's absolutely impossible for them to help them. Then how do you explain the Sima family's matter? Nayland, he sneered, the state banquet is coming. At that time, there will naturally be a way to make Sima Lai spit out the truth. Chapter 112. Sima Yu was in a good mood as she lay on the rocking chair and basked in the sun. Today, she had just given a batch of pills to Sima Yu Ming and the others. From them, she found out about the Nayland clan's reaction. When she saw the people who had come to inquire about the news and saw that they had taken out the second batch of pills, her heart was filled with joy. Young master, it will be His Majesty's birthday in 2 days. Are you going? Chun Jian asked as she poured a cup of tea for Sima Yue. Sima Yue took the teacup and thought about how Fatty Chu said that many powers would be going. She said, Go, why wouldn't we go? I still want to see Nayland He's current appearance. I'm afraid that the Nayland clan will find trouble with the young master. Chun Jian said, I'm just a useless person who can't even trust a chicken. What trouble can they cause me in public? Sima Yue said, I'm worried that they'll cause trouble for Grandpa. This was also an important reason why she planned to go. Now that the business war between the two sides had entered a white-hot stage, with the sudden appearance of an alchemist, it was likely that Nayland He would not let go of this opportunity to cause trouble. This Nayland family is a big family with a big business, but it can't go on like this. Is there any way to kill them directly? Sima Yue pondered as she looked at the tea leaves in the teacup. Young master, no matter what we do, we can't directly kill the Nayland family. Chun Jian heard Sima Yue's words and said, because the royal family doesn't allow it. Chun Jian said, the general is in charge of the army, and although the Nayland family is only a single family, to a certain extent, they balance the power of the capital. As a general, he can only suppress the Nayland family, but he can't exterminate them. Then who can destroy them? Your Majesty. Chun Jian said, only he has the authority to exterminate such a large family. At the same time, only he has such strength. Your Majesty? Sima Yue thought of what Sima Lai had said and shook her head. That guy still wanted to use the Nayland family to restrict the Sima family. Why would he destroy them? It's not like there's no other way. We just need to find the entry point. Chun Jian said, I once heard from the general that His Majesty is very suspicious. If we can take advantage of this. Sima Yue's eyes lit up and she stood up from her chair. She pinched Chun Jian's face and said excitedly, Chun Jian, you really are my little strategist. I'll go and discuss it with Grandpa. After saying that, she hurriedly ran out, leaving Chun Jian behind in a daze. Young master? She's really different from before. 2 days later, it was the 150th birthday of the Dongqin Kingdom's emperor. The royal family held a grand banquet for him. The first prince and the third prince hosted the banquet and invited all the top powers of the kingdom to the banquet. As a general, Sima Lai had to preside over the safety and order of the banquet, so he went to the palace early in the morning. In the evening, Sima Yu Ming and the other 3 took the beast carriage to the palace. When the beast carriage reached the entrance of the palace, it was stopped by a group of people. What's wrong? Sima Yu Ming opened the car door and asked. Sima Yue looked towards the door and saw a group of soldiers standing in front of the beast carriage, blocking their path. So it's the eldest young master. The leader of the soldiers seemed to recognize Sima Yu Ming and cupped his hands, saying, the eldest prince has ordered that in order to show his respect to the emperor, no one is allowed to take the beast carriage into the palace tonight. As such, the eldest young master and the rest of the young masters have to get off the carriage and walk into the palace. Are the others the same? Sima Yuqi asked. The beast carriages are all parked there. The leader pointed to the empty space at the side. Sima Yue looked out the window and saw a few beast carriages parked there. Sima Yu Ming glanced at them and said, since that's the case, let's go down as well. The 5 of them got off the carriage and a soldier led the driver to the side to park the carriage. "Thank you for your understanding, young masters." The leader cupped his hands in thanks again. "Let's go in." Sima Yuqi patted Sima Yue, who was looking around, reminding her to follow everyone and not get lost. Just as they were about to enter the palace, another 2 beast carriages were stopped. "What? They're actually letting us walk in." The sudden increase in volume attracted the attention of the surrounding people. Even Sima Yue and the others turned around to take a look. Sima Yulu saw the symbol on the beast carriage and pursed his lips, saying, "The Alchemist Guild is really getting more and more arrogant. They really think they're so awesome. They're always awesome." Sima Yuming glared at Sima Yulu, saying, "Tonight is the Emperor's birthday. We better not cause any trouble. Otherwise, we'll cause trouble for grandfather." "We know," Sima Yulu said while rubbing his head. Sima Yue saw a young man, a lady dressed in white, a middle-aged man and finally an old man come down from the beast carriage. The lady dressed in white seemed to be unhappy that she was stopped. Her face was so dark that it could drip water. She stepped forward and punched the leader of the guards, saying, "Don't you know whose carriage this is? You actually dare to let us walk in. Do you not want to live anymore?" The leader of the guards stood up, saying, "This is the eldest prince's order. Anyone who enters the palace has to walk. I ask for Great Master Shi and President Wu's forgiveness." Did the eldest prince also say that we have to walk into the palace? The middle-aged man raised his chin, looking extremely arrogant. "Great Master Shi, the eldest prince said that everyone has to walk." The leader of the guards said. Shirley did not think that the leader of the guards would reply him in this way. His face fell, and just as he was about to rage at the leader of the guards, Sima Yue spoke up. "Oh, isn't this Great Master Shi? What are you doing here?" Shirley's rage was interrupted and he glared unhappily at the person who spoke. When he saw that it was the trash Sima Yue, his face fell even further. "Sima Yue? What are you doing here?" The young man looked at Sima Yue and narrowed his eyes. Sima Yue finally saw the young man clearly. When did Murongin get together with the Alchemist Guild? She then looked at the white-clothed girl beside him. Nalan Lan was chased out of the academy, so did he change her? It's His Majesty's birthday. People like me naturally want to come and take a look. Sima Yue said, "Great Master Shi, are you saying that you have no choice but to go in?" Big Brother Guard, why don't you take a look at whose beast carriage this is? This is the Alchemist Guild's Great Master Shi and President Wu. How can you let them get down? I know that you said that this is the eldest prince's order, but is the Alchemist Guild's position something that ordinary people can shake? Do they still need to get down and walk? Hearing Sima Yue's words, the president and Shirley's faces changed. The gazes of the people around them also changed. If they really wanted to continue sitting in the beast carriage, then it would mean that the Alchemist Guild's position was above the eldest prince's, above the entire royal family. Chapter 113. The surrounding whispers made Wu Lin and the others feel somewhat awkward. Copy this address views %77%, 77%, 77%, 2E%, 62%, 69%, 71%, 69%, 2E%, 6D%, 65. Actually, if it was just the Crown Prince, the Alchemist Guild wouldn't really put him in their eyes. But now that it was pointed out in front of everyone, even if everyone felt that it was true, the Alchemist Guild still didn't dare to be so arrogant. "Let's go in." Wu Lin flung his sleeves and strode towards the palace gate without looking at the crowd. When she passed by Sima Yue, she glanced at her from the corner of her eyes. In the past, this trash was famous for being brainless. What she said just now, was it intentional or unintentional? Sima Yue smiled at him innocently. Trash still dares to show his face in public. The woman in white was very unhappy with Sima Yue. When she passed by her, she glared at her. Murongin was walking with the lady in white. When he saw her panting with rage, he comforted her. Why bother with her? Upon hearing his words, Sima Yue recalled that he was the main culprit behind her death. She had almost forgotten about him after not seeing him for so long. Sneering in her heart, she raised her smiling face and shouted at him, "Murong Gongzi, how come I didn't see you and Miss Nailin Lan together today? Didn't you say that you're already at the stage where you're talking about marriage? When are you going to invite us to your wedding?" Murong's body trembled. Soon after, he saw the girl flipping out at him. After being berated by Shirley, the group continued to walk forward. When the people from the Alchemist Guild had disappeared through the palace gates, Sima Yulu finally burst into laughter. "Fifth brother, you were really too amazing just now. With just a few words, you made the Alchemist Guild suffer. Look at Wu Lin and Shirley. Their faces are as smelly as the stones in a cesspool." The other three brothers laughed as well, but it was not as exaggerated as Sima Yuli's. Because of Sima Lai, the relationship between the Sima family and the Alchemist Guild had always been bad. Every time they saw them, they would always be mocked and ridiculed. What Sima Yue did today was indeed satisfying. "You're so naughty." Sima Yu Ran patted Sima Yue's shoulder, saying, "Let's go in." "Hee, let's go." Sima Yue smiled. "Fifth young master, please wait." The captain stepped forward and cupped his hands towards Sima Yue. "Thank you for helping us out just now, fifth young master." Sima Yue waved her hand and said, "I didn't want to help you, I just don't like those people. There's a car coming. Go ahead." The team leader turned around and saw a beast carriage approaching. He nodded at Sima Yue and the rest and went back to his duty. "Let's go in quickly. Grandfather should be waiting for us inside," Sima Yuming said. Sima Yue followed them inside. Thinking about the girl who was with Murong and just now, she asked, "Big brother, do you know who the girl who was with Shirley and the others is?" "That's Shirley's daughter, Emoli. It said that she's not even 20 years old, but is already a first-ranked alchemist. It said that she's already at the threshold of second-ranked pills. She's very talented in alchemy and is someone that the Alchemist Guild focuses on nurturing." Sima Yuran replied. "Tiske, look at her. She's going to be just like her father." Sima Yulu complained, "And with her talent, compared to our fifth bro, she's a few hundred streets ahead." "Fourth bro, don't say any more." Sima Yuming stopped Sima Yulu, in case he spouted nonsense and others found out. Sima Yulu stuck out his tongue and everyone entered the palace. The palace was similar to the ancient palaces, but the decorations were much more magnificent. After looking at it for a while, Sima Yue felt that it was because there were many weird things in this world, so the decorations were special. After entering the palace, a palace maid led the way for them. Seeing that Sima Yue was looking around, she asked, "Now that everyone has gone to the banquet hall, there will be a big performance after the banquet. Young master, you can look around the palace. Right now, we have to go to the banquet hall." Sima Yulu patted Sima Yue's shoulder, saying, "Is this fifth bro's first time in the palace? It's hard to avoid good things for the first time. The first time I came in, I was so excited. I know, when you went back, you pulled my hand and sighed for half a day." Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him. "Cough cough, but fifth bro, you were much calmer the first time I came in." Sima Yulu chuckled as he said. The palace maid led them to the main hall, and there were already many people inside. There were short tables on both sides of the main hall, and there were many spirit fruits on the tables, as well as some snacks. Those who arrived early sat in their own seats, eating spirit fruits and chatting, building relationships with the people around them. The main hall was filled with laughter. The palace maid led them to the general's residence, saying, "Young masters, this is where the general's residence is. This servant will take her leave." Sima Yue looked around, and their seats were closer to the front. It seemed like the seats were arranged according to status. She didn't know if it was intentional or not, but Sima Yue and the others sat opposite the Nailin clan. It was still early, and the Nailin clan had not arrived yet. They only placed the Nailin clan's table cards on the table. The Alchemist Guild's seat was opposite the Nailin clan. She only saw Emoli and Murong sitting there, while Wu Lin and Shirley were nowhere to be seen. But thinking about it, those two were of noble status. How could they possibly wait here with everyone else? Seeing that Sima Yue and the others had taken their seats, Emoli glared at her fiercely. It seemed like she was still holding a grudge against her for what happened at the palace gates. Sima Yue glanced at them and didn't care about their hateful gazes. She raised her head and used her little finger to cover her nose, and even pretended to dig out her boogers, flicking them in front of her. So disgusting. Sure, Emily was disgusted by Sima Yue's actions, and quickly shifted her gaze away. Sima Yue dug her left nose, and just as she was about to dig her right nose, she saw that Sure Emily was no longer looking at her, and gave up. How did this Murong sit in the Alchemist Guild seat? Someone beside her whispered, and the content of the conversation caught her attention. She had been wondering why this Murong was with the Alchemist Guild. Aya, don't you know? This Murong is said to have taken Great Master Sure as his master, and is learning alchemy. Another person said, Really? How come I didn't hear that Murong wanted to learn alchemy? That Great Master Sure's standards are too high. How could he be willing to accept him? You guys don't know about this. Another person interrupted, saying, This Murong is now the son-in-law of the Sure clan. Look at those two, they are stuck together like glue. I'm afraid they will get married soon. Didn't they say that he and the Nalan clan's Nalan Lan are a couple? Your news is really outdated. The matter between Murong and Nalan Lan is already a thing of the past. I don't know who arranged the seats tonight, but this Alchemist Guild is next to the Nalan clan. Sima Yue glanced at the seat opposite her, wondering what kind of expression the Nalan clan's people would have when they saw Murong. Just thinking about it made her excited. This book came from Chapter 114. Sima Yue was bored to death as she waited for the banquet to start. Since she had nothing to do, she took a spirit fruit to eat. Normally, he would only eat the spirit fruits in his soul pearl. Now that he was eating this, he felt that the taste was not good at all. Hearing the people beside her exclaiming about how delicious the spirit fruit was, she suddenly felt how extravagant her life was. Actually, to other people, these spirit fruits were indeed very hard to come by. This was because in order for ordinary fruits to become spirit fruits, they had to grow in a very strict environment. They had to be in a place of outstanding talents, and they had to go through a very long period of evolution. The spirit fruit was the same as the spirit vegetables. Eating it could increase the spirit energy in one's body, so everyone wanted to get their hands on the spirit fruit. Once a spirit fruit appeared, it would soon be sold out. There was a price but no supply. Even a first-rate force might not be able to eat spirit fruits often. Ordinary people might not be able to eat more than a few spirit fruits in their lifetime, but here, there were several plates of spirit fruits on every table for the guests to eat as they pleased. The royal family is the royal family after all. They are really generous. Someone sighed. Sima Yuming and the others each ate a spirit fruit before putting it down. Sima Yulu sat beside Sima Yu and leaned in front of her, saying, It's a far cry from what you gave us. Sima Yue nodded her head. This spirit fruit was indeed far inferior to the spirit fruit in the soul pearl. The spirit energy it contained was different, and the taste was also different. Ever since she discovered the spirit fruits, she would send them to Sima Yue every few days. At first, they were surprised that Sima Yue had so many spirit fruits, but they all knew that Sima Yue was not the flesh and blood of the Sima family. So even if they knew that she had secrets, they did not probe further and just accepted the gifts. Oh, there's going to be a good show tonight. Sima Yulu suddenly said. Sima Yue looked up and followed his gaze. She raised her eyebrows when she saw who it was. Nalan Lan actually came. This time, there would really be a good show to watch. He brought Nalan Lan and two other youngsters in. His empty sleeves swayed as he walked. Looks like I didn't leave any traces behind last time. When Nalan Lan followed her father into the main hall, she saw Murong-en's figure. At that time, he was whispering to Sure Emoli. Their heads were very close to each other. She didn't know what he said, but Sure Emoli smiled happily. Nalan Lan's hand. She was wondering why Murong-en didn't come to see her when she was injured. So it was because he was with Sure Emoli. So the rumor about the two of them being together was true? Pay attention to the situation. Nalan he indifferently glanced at Murongan and said to Nalan Lon, I know, father. Nalan Lon took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in her heart. Sima Yu watched as Nalan Lon and the others took their seats. She just so happened to be sitting at the side with Murongan beside her. Murongan was just coaxing Sher Emoli happily when he felt someone sitting beside him. He subconsciously turned his head to take a look. When he saw a familiar figure, he was stunned. Feeling Murongan's gaze, Nalan Lon turned her head and lightly smiled. Mr. Murong, long time no see. Cough cough. Long time no see. Murongan was frightened by Nalan Lan's smile. He awkwardly turned his head and didn't look at her again. Miss Nalan, long time no see. Sher Emoli smiled and greeted Nalan Lon. I heard from my father that you were seriously injured at Pu Luo mountain range. Are you fully recovered now? Nalan Lon looked at Sher Emoli holding Murongan's hand. Her eyes turned cold and she smiled. Thank you for your concern, Miss Sher. I'm much better now. After all, our Nalan family spent so much to get the pill from your father. If it didn't work, then great Master Sher's reputation would be in vain. Sher Emoli's smile froze. This Nalan Lon actually dared to say that her father was extorting people in front of everyone. She clenched her teeth and said, It's good that you're well. Previously, I said that I would go with Murong to see you. After all, you were good friends. It's normal to be concerned. But Murong just became my father's disciple and we're preparing for the wedding. We're too busy. You're getting married? Nalan Lon looked at Murongan and asked. Murong braced himself and replied. When the time comes, send an invitation to the Nalan family. Miss Nalan, you must come. Sher Emoli smiled and said. Nalan Lan's hand under the table tightly clutched onto her skirt. She put on a fake smile and said, Does Miss Sher really think that you two can get married? What does Miss Nalan mean? Sher Emoli's face darkened. Nothing much. I'm just a hypocrite who likes the new and hates the old. Since Miss Sher likes him, then I hope that you two can really get together. Nalan Lon finished speaking and turned her head, no longer looking at the two of them. Sher Emoli saw that Nalan Lon was no longer talking to them and snorted unwillingly. Sima Yu watched the good show opposite her with interest. This Nalan Lon was not easy to deal with. She did not flip out in front of everyone today because of the occasion. After a while, Sher Lei and Wu Lin arrived at the main hall. The representatives of the Weapon Master Guild, Beast Tamer Guild and Spirit Master Guild all entered. Looking at the situation, the banquet should be starting soon. Sima Yu looked at those people. Other than Wu Lin, the others looked relatively amiable. At this time, Sima Lai came in from outside and sat down. Sima Yue looked at him and he nodded. Seeing this, Sima Yue's lips curled into a smile. Very quickly, the Dongchun Kingdom's emperor walked in, accompanied by the first prince and the third prince. For some unknown reason, his complexion did not look too good. When he saw the people present, he forced a smile. Congratulations to your majesty on your birthday. May your majesty live a long and boundless life. Everyone present stood up to welcome him and congratulated him. Thank you everyone for coming to celebrate my birthday. Please take a seat. Wan Wu Feng waved to everyone and said, Thank you, your majesty. Everyone sat down, leaving Wu Lin standing alone. Today is your majesty's birthday. My alchemist guild has specially prepared a small gift for your majesty. I hope that your majesty will not dislike it. Hearing this, Wan Wu Feng smiled and said, What is President Wu saying? It is already very good that you are able to attend this prince's banquet. Wu Lin took out a box. An official came down from the side and took the box, handing it to Wan Wu Feng. Your Majesty, this is the 4th-tier Emperor Energy Pill that I have spent half a year searching for medicinal ingredients. It is specially refined for your Majesty. Wu Lin said, This pill can repair a person's body. I heard that your Majesty had once suffered an injury. After that, your Majesty's body has not been very good. After taking this pill, your Majesty's body will be completely healed. Really? Good. Wan Wu Feng excitedly opened the box. Seeing that there was indeed a golden pill lying inside, He thought about how because of his injury, his body was left with a chronic illness. Therefore, his cultivation was always half the result with twice the effort. Seeing the Emperor energy pill, his excitement was beyond words. When the people below saw the pill in Wan Wufeng's hands, they all sighed. Sima Yue curled her lips. Wasn't it just the Emperor energy pill? What was there to be excited about? Website. Please support this website. Chapter 115. Alright, thank you, President Wu. After Wan Wufeng finished speaking, he took the pill and swallowed it. Very quickly, he felt his body warm up, and the dull pain in the injured area was lessening. He was so happy that he nodded his head repeatedly. Wu Lin sat down, and the Armament Masters Guild stood up, offering a spirit artifact to Wan Wufeng. Although this spirit tool was rare, but to Wan Wufeng, it was naturally not as attractive as the mighty Emperor pill. Therefore, he only gave it a few glances before having the servant put it aside. Following that, the Beast Tamer Guild, the Spirit Beast Guild, and the various big clans gave all kinds of gifts. It was indeed an eye-opener for Sima Yue. However, there was no point in seeing too many gifts at once. This segment of gift-giving had unknowingly turned into a competition between the various major powers. Whoever gave a valuable or unique gift would gain more face. After a while, the gift-giving segment ended. The first prince clapped his hands, and the palace maids came forward to take away the spirit fruits and pastries, replacing them with the main course of the banquet. Some singers and dancers came forward to perform. Banquets had always been the same since ancient times, and it was the same even in a different world. To Sima Yue, who was used to watching all kinds of galas in her past life, these programs really did not have much attraction. She gave Sima Lai a heads up and took advantage of the fact that no one was paying attention to her to quietly leave the main hall. The banquet lasted for a long time. Occasionally, some people would come out to take a breather. Sima Yue's departure did not attract anyone's attention. How boring! I wonder if I can go back earlier. Sima Yue walked alone in the palace. Seeing that the Nalan family didn't do anything, she couldn't sit still and wanted to go back. When she heard Sima Yue say that there was a man-made lake here, she followed her instincts and walked towards it. Before she reached it, she heard a dispute. She knew who it was and her heart leaped with joy. Her silhouette flashed into the fake mountain at the side. Recalling that she still had the sound stone with her, she took it out and poured her spiritual energy into it. The veined patterns on the sound stone began to move, indicating that it had begun to record the surrounding sounds. Murong, and what do you mean by this? Nalan Lan looked at Murong and with tears in her eyes. Her pitiful look made Murong and unconsciously gulp. This Nalan Lan was indeed beautiful, and indeed made people pity her. It was a pity that she was no longer of any use to him. Or rather, her use to him was far from being as useful as Sher Emoli. However, who wouldn't want to take a bite of this fat meat that was delivered to their doorstep, let alone such a beautiful woman? If he could obtain the Alchemist Guild's nurturing and at the same time obtain the Nalan clan's support, then his future days would definitely be smoother. Thinking of this, his gaze returned to its previous gentleness. He took a step forward and held Nalan Lan's hand, saying, "Idiot, what do you mean by that? My heart is still with you. I'm still thinking about you." Then what's going on between you and Sher Emoli? When did you two get together? She wanted to get married? Then what is the relationship between us? Nalan Lan also truly loved Murong, and seeing that he was still so gentle towards her, her heart softened. But when she thought of him and Sher Emoli being so intimate with each other, her heart was still very angry. Murong and forcefully pulled Nalan Lan into his embrace. "She and I were just playing around." Murong and kissed Nalan Lan's forehead and said, "You also know that her father is Great Master Shirley. If I could learn alchemy from him, then my future would naturally be limitless. But you know what kind of person Shirley is. He's not easy to get along with. If there wasn't anyone to recommend him, he wouldn't even put me in his eyes. So I thought of a way to get close to her. I don't have any feelings for her. I only like you. You have to believe me." "Then when I was injured, why didn't you come to see me?" Nailin Lan heard Murong-en's words and her heart believed him a little. However, she still had some resentment. At that time, I was busy dealing with Sher Emoli. In order to make her believe me, I had no choice but to accompany her. Murong-en said, however, I also sent people to inquire about your situation. Really? Nailin Lan looked at Murong-en. She already believed his words in her heart. Murong-en saw her like this and knew that she already believed him. He leaned over and kissed her lips, saying, "Of course it's true. We've been together for so long, how could I like another woman? I'm only using her." "Then you shouldn't be together with her anymore," Nailin Lan said. "How can I do that?" Murong-en said loudly. Soon after, he realized that his reaction was too big. He comforted her gently, "I haven't learned how to refine pills yet. If I were to fall out with Shiremoli now, then all my time would have been wasted. But I don't want to see you and Shiremoli being so close." Nailin Lan said unhappily. "Idiot, you have to remember. I'm only playing around with her. My heart only has you. There's no one else." Murong-en comforted her. After he finished speaking, he leaned over and kissed her. His hands moved up and down restlessly. Sima Yue saw that the two of them seemed to be a little heated up. She guessed that she had heard enough, so she kept her sound stone and quietly left. However, after thinking about it, she couldn't let the two of them off so easily. After walking a distance, she told one of the guards that she seemed to have dropped something by the lake and asked him to help her look for it. Seeing the few guards walk towards the lake, she smiled evilly and turned around to return to the main hall. Before she reached the entrance of the main hall, she heard Nailin He's voice from inside. "Your Majesty, since the Sima family has that mysterious person, and you're not even willing to talk about it, are you not putting your Majesty in your eyes?" Sima Yoyue's heart sank. This Nailin He really came. Sima Lai remained silent. He thought that Nailin He would find a way to find out about the Sima family's pills, but he didn't think that he would say it in front of everyone. "General Sima, you really found such a powerful person? Since that's the case, why don't you let everyone see?" Wan Wufeng's words carried the meaning of an inquiry, but his expression and tone were completely different. It carried a sinister coldness. "It's not that I don't want to say it, but that kid doesn't like to be flamboyant." Sima Lai said, "Grandfather, since everyone wants to know, why don't you tell them? Otherwise, they'll think that our Sima family really has something that can't be seen." Sima Yue walked in from outside and said with a smile, "Your Majesty, actually it's not that grandfather doesn't want to say it, but this kid asked grandfather not to say it, in case everyone thinks that this kid is trying to please the crowd." "Your Sima Yue?" Although Wan Wufeng had never seen her before, but she was sitting together with Sima Lai and now she was calling Sima Lai grandfather. Other than those few that he had seen before, she must be Sima Yue. But wasn't he trash? How could he be the mysterious person that Nailin He spoke of? Chapter 116. Sima Yue bowed towards Wan Wufeng and said, "This little one Sima Yue greets your Majesty. I wish your Majesty a long life." Wan Wufeng looked at Sima Yue admitting her identity and said, "What you said just now, you're the mysterious person from the Sima family? Your Majesty is wise. In fact, there is no mysterious person. These are just the speculations of the outside world about our family." Sima Yue smiled and said, "It's because we don't know where our pills came from, that's why we let our imagination run wild." "So you're saying that the pills sold by the Sima family recently were all refined by you?" Wan Wufeng said. "This little one is not talented, but under Master Feng's guidance, I learned a little alchemy." Sima Yue replied. "Teacher Feng?" Wan Wufeng looked at the old principal. The old principal glanced at Sima Yue and said, "I'm not sure either. Teacher Feng himself is rather mysterious. He didn't tell me that he doesn't know how to refine pills, so I'm not sure either. But he does care a lot about Yue." Wan Wufeng nodded. When Feng Zhixing came to the academy, the old principal had also told him about it. He didn't mention his identity, only that he came from above. Therefore, even if it was him, he still had to give in to him. "However, Sima Yue, when did you start cultivating?" He didn't say that she was a good-for-nothing, but that was what he meant. Your Majesty, this kid has been cultivating for less than a year. Sima Yue said, then bowed to Shirley. I'm sure Master Shi still remembers the time when my grandfather used 100-year-old ginseng to exchange for 2 level 3 pills from you. I don't know what happened at that time, but I was able to cultivate. Speaking of which, it's all thanks to Master Shi's pills. Otherwise, I'd still be a cripple. Congratulations, then, Master Shi said in a strange tone. Although he liked it when others praised the usefulness of his pills, for the Sima family that he did not get along with, it was better to have one more trash than one more spirit master. Nailin family head, do you still have any questions? Wan Wu Feng looked at Nailin He and asked. Nailin He did not expect that the mysterious alchemist of the Sima family was actually Sima Yue, which really gave him a great shock. A year ago, she was still unable to cultivate, but now she was standing here as an alchemist. This made him and the others feel that it was too inconceivable. Your Majesty, as far as we know, that alchemist is a level 2 alchemist. Sima Yue was still unable to cultivate a year ago, but within a year, not only did she become an alchemist, but also a level 2 alchemist. I'm sure I'm not the only one who has doubts about this. After Wan Wu Feng heard Nailin He's words, he finally remembered the impossible factor. Who could cultivate in less than a year, and even become a second-grade alchemist? Sima Yue, Nailin clan head is right. Did you really only start cultivating a year ago? Wan Wufeng asked. I'm sure everyone has heard about how I was beaten to the brink of death. If I knew how to cultivate, I'm sure I wouldn't have been beaten so badly. Sima Yue said, regarding this matter, Murong and Nailin Lan can testify for me. After all, they saw me being beaten with their own eyes. Seeing how confident Sima Yue was, everyone believed that she did not know how to cultivate in the past. After all, it was easy to find the person involved and ask, so she could not possibly lie. When Shiramoli heard Sima Yue mention the two of them, she realized that Murongen and Nailin Lan were not in the main hall. What you're saying is, you really went from a person who could not cultivate to an alchemist in a year's time. Furthermore, you're a level 2 alchemist? Nailin, he said. Sima Yue touched her own face and smiled narcissistically. This talent is here. I can't do anything about it. Her brothers were all amused by her appearance. Impossible. Shirley said loudly, it's impossible for a normal person to become an alchemist without at least a few years. There's a huge gap between each level and it's extremely difficult to cross it. How could you become a level 2 alchemist in a year's time? He spent close to 10 years to become a level 2 alchemist. Until now, he was only a level 3 alchemist. If Sima Yue could become a level 2 alchemist in a year, then what was he? Sima Yue helplessly shrugged her shoulders and said, you can't do it, but that doesn't mean others can't. Emoli always thought that she was a genius among geniuses for spending a few years to reach the level of a level 2 alchemist. She never thought that Sima Yue would surpass her in less than a year. She looked at Sima Yue mockingly and said, Sima Yue, since you said you're a level 2 alchemist, then do you dare to refine a level 2 pill in front of everyone? Reverse psychology? Sima Yue raised her eyebrows, but it has no effect on me. Emoli saw that Sima Yue was unwilling and said, Your Majesty, just now the Nailin family head said that the Sima family's alchemist is a level 2 alchemist. Sima Yue said that person is herself, but what if she can't refine a level 2 pill? Then wouldn't the mysterious person be someone else? Aren't General Sima and the rest lying to your Majesty? Wan Wu Feng heard this and his face darkened. Even an outsider like him knew how difficult it was to become an alchemist. To become a level 2 alchemist was even harder. Hearing what they said, it really was possible that Sima Yue was lying to him. Sima Yue, since it's like this, then refine a level 2 pill in front of everyone. It's fine if you can refine it, but if you can't, or if you're not even an alchemist, then don't blame me for punishing the Sima family. There was no discussion, it was a direct order. Sima Lai wanted to open his mouth to say something, but was stopped by Sima Yue. She smiled and said, since everyone has their suspicions, then there's no harm in having me refine the pill. However, Your Majesty, if I can refine a level 2 pill, then shouldn't the Nayland family head apologize to me for their suspicions? Wan Wu Feng glanced at Nayland He, and the two of them immediately replied, if you can really refine the pill, my Nayland family will definitely apologize to you. Sima Yue said, Grandfather, go back to your seat and watch Yue refine the pill. Just do your best. Sima Lai said. If she succeeded, then the Sima family would be able to smoothly pass this time. If she failed, then the rest would be left to him. She didn't need any pressure, she just needed to refine the pill properly. Sima Yue understood his meaning and smiled as she nodded. Do you need a pill furnace or something like that? The old principal asked. Thank you for your concern, Principal. As an alchemist, I naturally carry the necessary things with me. However, Your Majesty, please allow me to find a table. After Sima Yue finished speaking, a pill furnace appeared in front of everyone. Chapter 117. Read 336. Mao Sanquan and Little Seven saw Sima Yue and Sima Lu Yun leaving and walked over. Seeing Sima Yue's unstable emotions, they asked with concern, Yu, are you all right? Sima Yue shook her head and kept everything. Let's go back. It's almost dawn. Mao Sanquan said. All right. When Sima Yue and the rest returned to the inn, the eastern sky was already turning bright. Mao Sanquan did not return to his room. There was not much time left before he left. After Sima Yue returned, she entered the spirit pagoda and stared blankly at the things that Sima Lu Yun gave her. When Little Roar and the others saw her like this, they all looked at her from afar, but did not dare to approach. Qi Yen transformed into his human form and came to her side. Your emotions are very unstable right now. You can't compete like this. Crimson Flame said. I know, but I can't calm down now. Sima Yue turned around and looked at Qi Yen. Qi Yen, how big is this world? Every time I think I know enough, I find that what I know is just the tip of the iceberg. You were injured back then and slept in the egg for so many years. Now that you've only recovered 10 to 20%, you're already so powerful. Yes, then where are you from? How powerful was the real power? Are you from this world? What was above the Imperial Emperor? Is there anyone else who can become an Imperial Emperor? You think too much. Crimson Flame said, you'll know how big the world is when you grow up. Thinking too much now won't do you any good. I also know that knowing too much will affect one's Dao heart before one's cultivation level reaches that level. Sima Yue said, but there are always so many things that I can't help but come into contact with these things. They press down on me and make me feel tired from time to time. You just feel tired because you have too many things on your plate. Crimson Flame said, you are still young and have too many things to do. Moreover, many things are not for someone of your age and strength to interact with. After a long time, you will feel tired. It was obvious that he knew too much that he shouldn't know, which affected his Dao heart. What you need to do now is not to think about those things. Just focus on what's in front of you. Firm your Dao heart. Do you understand? Otherwise, you might be stuck here forever. I understand. Sima Yue nodded. I will adjust my mentality. I believe you will. Crimson Flame said, but your eyes still look tired. Why don't you not think about anything and have a good night's sleep? You can compete well tomorrow. Let me try. Sima Yue said. She originally thought that she wouldn't be able to sleep, but she didn't expect that the moment she laid down on the bed, she would feel sleepy. She quickly fell into a deep sleep. She felt as if she had slept for as long as a century, but it also felt as if she had only slept for a short while. After waking up, she felt refreshed. Her mind seemed to have emptied and was no longer filled with all kinds of things. Qi Yen was sitting beside her. Seeing her open her eyes, he said, go out, everyone is waiting for you. Sima Yue sat up and hugged Qi Yen, saying, thank you. Qi Yen didn't push her away, but patted her back gently and said, go. Yes, I'll definitely bring back the prize. Wait for me here. After she finished speaking, she left in a flash. Little Roar flew over and landed in Qi Yan's arms, saying, she's much better now. You didn't waste so much energy. She just needs to relax herself. Chi Yen said, I just let her have a good night's sleep. Sima Yue knew that this wasn't just a good night's sleep, but it allowed her to relax from the bottom of her heart. No matter how difficult the road ahead was, she could only take one step at a time. There was no shortcut. After thinking through this, she regained her previous state of mind. Things had to be solved one by one, wasn't it? When she came outside, everyone was already prepared and waiting for her to come out. Mao Sanquan knew that Sima Yue had experienced a lot of things and needed to calm down, so he didn't rush her. Seeing her come out, he said, Let's go. Sima Yue gave them an apologetic smile and followed everyone to the plaza. When they came to the entrance, they happened to meet people from Divine Devil Valley. Sima Yue went over to greet them. Greetings to senior uncle and senior brother. She bowed to Liang Wuming. I heard that you went into closed-door cultivation. I was worried that you wouldn't be able to come out in time to participate in the competition. Ying Baichuan smiled and said, I think you're hiding right. Senior brother is so smart. Sima Yue gave him a look. I wanted to meet you guys that day, but you guys went to the pill subdivision. I was looked at like an idiot by a group of people, so I went into closed-door cultivation to revise my alchemy knowledge. You have to do well in this competition. You're my Divine Devil Valley's Junior Valley Master. If you get good results, my Divine Devil Valley will be proud too. Liang Wuming said. I will work hard. Sima Yue said. When are you going back to Divine Devil Valley? Ying Baichuan asked. Sima Yue looked at Mao Sanquan and said, After I settle the things on hand, I'll go to the valley to take a look. Before that, I have to get good results first so that I can go openly. I've talked to Mao Sanquan. He said that with your innate talent and current strength, if you want to go into closed-door cultivation in the academy, you can come to the central region to develop. I feel that you can come to the central region to cultivate properly. Liang Wuming said. I'll consider it. Sima Yue replied. Go back, they're still waiting for you. Then, go ahead. Sima Yue returned to the academy's team and entered the competition grounds with everyone else. Master, when will junior brother really come to the valley? Ying Baichuan asked as he looked at Sima Yue's back view. I think it should be soon. Liang Wuming said, he's been through more and more things now. It's more suitable for him to come to the central region. He understands this too. It's been 10 to 20 years since the people in the valley knew about him. But he hasn't gone back yet. Ying Baichuan said, if it wasn't for the fact that the blood ring had decided on him, I'm afraid many people would have jumped out to cause trouble. When they see him, they won't cause trouble anymore. On the contrary, they will be happy that your martial uncle found such a good disciple. Liang Wuming didn't take those objections to heart. Firstly, the blood ring only recognized her. Secondly, her innate talent was there. Others couldn't wait to pull her away. Those old fellows in Divine Devil Valley wouldn't be so stupid to push her out. Sima Yue followed the team in, and after she went to the resting area, she started to size up the contestants this time. She realized that there were many faces that she didn't see last time. She also realized that Kong Junchul had turned into the real Kong Junchul. Jiang Junxian was gone. Chapter 118. Fatty Chu chuckled twice and said, if you didn't have anything to do, you definitely wouldn't have attended such a boring wine party. Since you're going, you must have something to do. Smart. Sima Yue gave him a look of approval. Fatty Chu raised his chin proudly and said, of course. What do you need me to do? It's actually very simple. Come here and I'll tell you. When Sima Yue arrived at the palace where the banquet was held, she saw that most of the younger generation had already arrived. Among the many guests, she immediately spotted Murong-en. At this moment, Murong-en was talking to Sher Emoli about something. He was probably explaining why he left earlier. Nalan Lan and another girl from the Nalan clan were not far away, holding a wine cup and chatting with someone else. She glanced at Murong-en from time to time, paying attention to their conversation. Fifth young master. Sima Yue attracted everyone's attention the moment she entered. Everyone was still not used to the fact that the former trash had suddenly become a genius. But even if he wasn't used to it, geniuses would always be praised wherever they went. Therefore, many people wanted to use this opportunity to establish a relationship with her. Sima Yue didn't have the time or energy to deal with these people, so she was indifferent to them. Soon, some people tactfully stopped bothering her. Murong Ensher Mo Li and Nailan Lan naturally noticed that Sima Yue had entered, and their gazes towards her were filled with hatred. He was obviously a piece of trash. How did he become a precious alchemist? When Sher Mo Li saw Sima Yue, she almost crushed the wine glass in her hand. In the past, she was publicly acknowledged as a genius. She was able to touch the barrier of a second-ranked alchemist before she was 20 years old. However, now that Sima Yue appeared, she was immediately defeated. This was something that she, who was used to being revered, could not accept. At this moment, Fatty Chu suddenly said something loudly. The volume of his voice attracted the attention of everyone in the main hall. Sima Yue pretended to tug at Fatty Chu and said, "Keep your voice down. If someone hears you, we'll be in trouble." When she spoke, she even glanced over at Sher Mo Li and the others, as if she was afraid that they would hear her. Sher Mo Li's attention was originally attracted by Fatty Chu's exclamation. Seeing Sima Yue's gaze on her, a trace of unease surfaced in her heart. Could it be that she was speaking ill of him? As he thought about it, his legs involuntarily moved towards that direction. Fatty Chu and Sima Yue turned their backs to everyone and whispered, "Yue, did you really hear that?" Of course, when I went out just now, I happened to see Murongen and Nailan Lan flirting by the lake, so I went over to listen for a while. Sima Yue said, "That pitiful Sher Mo Li is still in the dark, being played around by Murongen." Really? You can't speak carelessly. If Sher Mo Li heard this, she would think that you're slandering Murongen. Fatty Chu said, "Of course I won't speak carelessly. At that time, I even used the sound stone to record their conversation. If you want to hear it, I'll let you hear it when the banquet ends." Sima Yue finished speaking and drank a mouthful of wine, waiting for Fatty Chu to continue. "Sima Yue, what nonsense are you spouting?" Before Fatty Chu could speak, Sher Mo Li scolded them from behind. Sima Yue and Fatty Chu's bodies trembled as they slowly turned around. They laughed and said, "Sher Mo Li, why are you eavesdropping on other people's conversation? What did you just say?" Sher Mo Li looked coldly at the two of them. "Nothing much." Sima Yue and Fatty Chu's eyes darted around, but they did not want to speak the truth, purposely keeping her in suspense. "Hurry up and tell me, what did you just say you saw?" Sher Mo Li saw that they were not speaking and shouted loudly. Her shout attracted the attention of everyone in the main hall. Thinking about how she made things difficult for Sima Yue in the main hall, everyone guessed that the two of them had gotten into an argument again. Fatty Chu looked at Sima Yue with a troubled expression and said, "Yue, why don't you just tell her, lest others think that you did something to her? If the Alchemist Guild pursues the matter, you'll be in trouble again." Hearing Fatty Chu's words, everyone guessed that Sima Yue might have done something to take revenge on Sher Mo Li. Sima Yue looked at the people around her and saw that everyone's eyes were filled with emotions. She sighed and said, "You're the one who wanted me to say this, so don't blame me when the time comes." What bad things did you say about Murongen just now?" Sher Mo Li said. "I just saw him whispering sweet nothings to someone else." Sima Yue said, "As a fellow alchemist, let me give you a piece of advice. This Murongen is not sincere towards you, so it's better for you to leave him as soon as possible." Sima Yue, what nonsense are you spouting? Murongen did not think that this matter would involve him as he walked over and shouted. Sima Yue shrugged her shoulders and said, "Aren't you the clearest on whether I'm spouting nonsense or not?" Sher Mo Li looked at the two of them suspiciously as she thought about the time when Murongen and Nailan Lan were not around. She asked, "Murong, you really didn't do anything to let me down? Mo Li, you still don't believe my words? This Sima Yue has always had improper thoughts towards me, so it's not impossible for her to break us up." Murongen did not think that Sima Yue would find out about the matter between him and Nailan Lan. He did not hesitate to use the scandal of Sima Yue chasing after him to divert everyone's attention. Che, a person like you who is fickle and two-timing, you're not even fit to carry Yoyue's shoes. Fatty Chu looked at Murongan with disdain, saying, didn't you just say that you have evidence? Take it out for everyone to see. Let's see if you are slandering him and trying to break them apart. This. Sima Yue hesitated for a moment and said, this isn't good, right? What's not good about it? Fatty Chu was anxious. This fellow is already ruining your reputation here. What are you still hesitating for? What evidence do you have? Shiramoli looked at Sima Yue. You better really have evidence. If you're slandering Murongan, then don't blame the Alchemist Guild for rejecting you outside the door. Threat? Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. Alright, although I don't have any thoughts about joining the Alchemist Guild in the future, with so many people watching, I can't bear the burden of being slandered. Shiramoli, I hope you don't regret this. After she finished speaking, she took out the sound stone and inserted spiritual energy into it. The sound stone's veined patterns began to move and a conversation was played out. It was the conversation between Murongan and Nalan Lan at the lakeside. Hearing this conversation, everyone present was stunned. Shiramoli did not dare to believe it at first, but after that, she became extremely angry. She turned around and looked at the ashen-faced Murongan and slapped him. Acting according to the situation, you're indeed a good actor. Lowly thing. Chapter 119. When Nalan Lan heard the conversation from the Soundstone, she was secretly delighted in her heart. This way, it would be impossible for Murongan to be together with Shiramoli. She did not expect that in the blink of an eye, Shiramoli would give him a slap. She hurriedly walked over, pulled Murongan over, and shouted at Shiramoli, "Why did you hit him?" Shiramoli snorted coldly and said, "Not only will I hit him, I'll also hit you." As she spoke, she slapped Nalan Lan. Nalan Lan wasn't a weakling either. Seeing Shiramoli's attack, she stretched out her hand to block it, but was pulled back by Murongan. Nalan Lan, stop messing around. Nalan Lan's hand was held, but Shiramoli's wasn't, so, 5 finger marks immediately appeared on Nalan Lan's face. Nalan Lan was stunned by this slap. She blankly turned her head and looked at Murongan. "Why are you pulling me?" Right now, Murongan did not have the time to care about Nalan Lan. He let go of her hand, walked in front of Shiramoli and said, "Emoli, don't believe those words. She was the one who was pestering me and even seducing me. In order to deal with her, I said those words. You have to believe me." In front of everyone's eyes, Nalan Lan couldn't believe her ears. She covered her face and took a few steps back. What did you say?" Murongan glared at her and said, "I stopped liking you a long time ago. It was always you who kept pestering me. Weren't you the one who kept pestering me to go to the lakeside?" "Murongan, you bastard." Nalan Lan was provoked by Murongan's words and scolded loudly. Tears of grievance flowed down her cheeks. "Emoli, you have to believe me. I really only like you." Murongan ignored Nalan Lan and only focused on explaining to Shiramoli. The Nalan family and the Alchemist Guild simply couldn't be compared, so he couldn't throw away Shiramoli's thigh. How come your voice doesn't sound like you're being forced at all? It sounds like you're enjoying it." Fatty Chu suddenly interjected. Everyone else nodded. They didn't hear the impatience and coercion in his voice. It sounded like he was the one who took the initiative. Shiramoli did not say anything. She only stared coldly at Murongan and Nalan Lan. Seeing that Murongan had reached out to grab her hand, she forcefully flung it away and coldly said, "Murongan, we're finished. I can't afford to have a husband like you, and my father can't afford to have a disciple like you." After saying that, she turned around and ran out. "Jasmine!" Murongan wanted to chase after them but was stopped by Nalan Lan. "Murongan, if you chase after me today, I will cut all ties with you." Murongan turned around and glanced at Nalan Lan before he ran out without hesitation. Nalan Lan didn't think that Murongan would run out without thinking. She was stunned for a moment before she suddenly smiled foolishly. "Murongan, you win. I will definitely make you regret this. Let's go." The girl who came with Nalan Lan didn't dare to say a word as she followed her and left. When they left the main hall, Nalan Lan seemed to have just remembered the main culprit. She turned around and fiercely glared at Sima Yue. The hatred in her eyes was so thick that it seemed like it could melt into water. Sima Yue smiled at Nalan Lan with an, "I'm actually doing this for your own good" look. She was so angry that she turned around and left. Now that the main characters had left, Fatty Chu waved at everyone and said, "All right, sorry. The good show has ended. Let's eat and drink." Wan Baichuan left for a while. When he returned, he realized that the atmosphere wasn't right. He called the palace maids over and asked them. Only then did he know that such a big thing had happened. Looking at the two people drinking alone in the corner of the main hall, he didn't believe that it was unintentional. However, Sima Yue was now a pill master. Even if it was him, he couldn't casually question her. In the end, he could only sigh and let them be. After staying at the banquet for a while, Sima Yue and Fatty Chu went to find Wan Baichuan to tell him that they wanted to go back. Wan Baichuan politely said a few words and let them leave. After leaving the palace, Sima Yue and Fatty Chu then laughed out loud. After holding it in for an entire night, they were really suffocated to death. "Yue, did you see Murong En's expression at that time? His face turned green. I'm dying of laughter." Sima Yue laughed and said, "After being blacklisted by the two big powers, you can imagine how Murong En's days will be. Right? This Murong En really isn't a good thing. He deserves to have this kind of ending." Fatty Chu nodded. "But Yue, why did you think of such a scheme?" Sima Yue looked at the full moon in the sky and muttered in her heart. She was just fulfilling the promise she made to the original owner. The matter that happened at the banquet spread throughout the capital the next day. After Shirley and Nalan he heard their daughter's cries. They indeed blacklisted Murong and Nalan. He ordered that all the shops under the Nalan family's name were prohibited from entering the Murong family and stopped all transactions with them. Shirley was even more ruthless. He directly ordered the Alchemist Guild to stop supplying them with pills and not sell any pills to them in the future. When the Murong family heard about the sanctions imposed on them by the two big powers, they were stunned. Later on, they heard that it was because of Murong En's matter that was exposed and he was severely punished. In order to appease their anger and obtain the forgiveness of the Alchemist Guild and Nalan family, he was expelled from the Capital Institute and was sent to a small place to manage the family business. Only then did the two big powers retract their sanctions on the Murong family. When she received this news, Sima Yue was sunbathing in the courtyard and eating spirit fruits. Thinking that Murong En would not be able to make a comeback in this lifetime, she was in a good mood. "Does this count as me giving you an explanation?" A light breeze blew past, as if giving her a faint reply. She leaned against the chaise lounge and closed her eyes with a face full of enjoyment. Chun Jian walked over and saw the tranquil aura emitting from her body. Looking at her beautiful face, she was stunned for a moment. "What's the matter?" When Chun Jian walked in, she felt it and saw that she did not speak, so she asked. Chun Jian came back to her senses and said, "Young master, the general sent someone to invite you over." "Grandfather is back? I know, you can leave." Chun Jian bowed and left the courtyard. Sima Yue finished the spirit fruit in her hand before getting up and walking towards Sima Lai's study. Ever since they returned from the banquet, Sima Lai left early and returned late every day. Sima Yue had not seen him yet. She did not expect him to return so early today. But why did he call her over? When she arrived at Sima Lai's courtyard, the guards all bowed to her. She pushed open the door to the study and saw Sima Lai in a daze. "Grandfather, you were looking for me?" Sima Lai came back to his senses and waved at Sima Yue, saying, "Yue, you're here. Come and sit." Sima Yue walked over and saw Sima Lai's restless expression, saying, "Grandfather, did something happen?" Chapter 120. Yu, I want to give up on the plan to exterminate the Nalan clan. Sima Lai said. "Why?" Sima Yue looked at Sima Lai in astonishment. "Is it because of that person from Puluo mountain range?" Sima Lai nodded his head and said, "Although I have already caused His Majesty to be suspicious of the Nalan clan, if we continue to fight with the Nalan clan, even if our clan wins in the end, we will still have to pay a price. Rather than that, I would rather focus on improving everyone's strength. Seeing the worry on Sima Lai's face, Sima Yue's heart was filled with doubt. Just how much power did the main family have to make him so worried? But Grandpa, if we retreat, then the Nalan family, the Nalan clan has already shown weakness to us. Sima Lai said, it should be because of your relationship with them. They also realized that fighting with us would not end well, so they came looking for me 2 days ago, hoping that we would let them go. Of course, they will also give us a lot of compensation. Because of me? Sima Yue blinked and said, aren't I at the same level as their alchemist? Why would they take the initiative to give in? You still don't know what kind of commotion you have caused in the entire Dongqin kingdom? Sima Lai looked at the puzzled Sima Yue. Ever since you revealed your strength as a second-tier alchemist at the banquet, everyone knew that you only spent less than a year to become a second-tier alchemist. Everyone treated you as a genius. I'm not a genius. Sima Yue rubbed his nose and ignored the compliments. Sima Lai smiled. That Nalan clan's alchemist seems to be on the same level as us. Both of them are second-grade alchemists, but in everyone's eyes, it won't be long before you have even better results. Furthermore, your rallying power is much stronger than that of their alchemist. They are not retreating because of your current strength, but because of your potential. Hee, I didn't know that I was so powerful. Sima Yue smiled and said, since grandfather wants to let them go, then let them go. Anyway, that Nalan Chi has already been dealt with by me. That Nalan Lan was expelled from the academy and abandoned by Murongan. She didn't have a good ending either. By the way, do my brothers know? I haven't told them yet. Sima Lai said, I was going to wait for you to agree before telling them. As long as you agree, they won't have much objection. Okay, then let's do as Grandpa says. Sima Yue said. All right. If there's nothing else, I'll head back first. Sima Yue stood up and said. Sima Lai waved his hand and she turned to leave. Looking at her back, he always had a kind of uneasy feeling lingering in his heart. It was this feeling that made him give up on dealing with the Nalan family. After returning to her courtyard, Sima Yue sent Chun Jian and the others away and entered the Soul Pearl by herself. What's wrong? Mo Sha felt someone suddenly appear in front of him, so he opened his eyes and asked. Sima Yue looked at the golden snake fruit tree and said, do you know how to refine the golden snake fruit into a pill? Mo Sha furrowed his brows and said, it would be best if he could refine the 100 revolutions pill. 100 revolutions pill? What kind of pill is that? Sima Yue asked. The 100 revolutions pill's level isn't high, so it can't directly increase a person's strength. However, it has the effect of cleansing the muscles and marrow, improving a person's physique and promoting future cultivation. Mo Sha said. Is it easy to refine? It's not difficult. Mo Sha said, this is a type of pill from ancient times. Later on, because of the loss of the pill recipe and the rarity of the golden snake fruit, it slowly disappeared. If you were to refine it, what's the success rate? If it was when I was alive, 100%. If you were to inject your spiritual energy, it would be 80%. Sima Yue sucked in a breath of air. 100% success rate. Was this pill's requirement too low, or was he too powerful? What about the other ingredients? There's everything here. Mo Sha said, however, refining this requires a lot of energy. I can't do it in my current state. How long will it take? Mo Sha glanced at her and said, that depends on how many you need to refine. One golden snake fruit can refine 8 to 10 pills. You have 4 now, so it depends on how many you want to refine. That's right, one person can only eat 2 pills at most. How much it can improve depends on the person's physique. More than 2 pills will have no effect. Sima Yue calculated in her heart. Including herself, there were a total of 10 people. That would mean she would need 20 pills. Sensing her thoughts, Mo Sha directly said, this 100 revolutions pill is useless to you. You don't have to take yourself into consideration. Why? Sima Yue was shocked. When you formed a contract with that egg, it already used the nirvana flames to transform your body. Compared to the nirvana flames, this 100 revolutions pill has no effect on you. Emosha said. If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten about that Crimson Flame guy. Sima Yue said. Ever since she had formed a contract with Crimson Flame in the Puluo mountain range, it had been quietly staying in the contract space, and had never taken the initiative to speak a word. Every time she tried to sense it, she would discover that it was sleeping, and as time passed, she slowly began to ignore it. The pain she had to endure when the Nirvana flames transformed her body made her subconsciously shiver. Emosha looked at Sima Yue's expression and thought that this guy's luck was too good. How many people had heard of the Nirvana flames and the spirit beast that possessed it, but they had never had the chance to see it. Even he had spent a lot of effort to find it, but there was no news at all. What he did not expect was that he had actually been neighbors with that spirit beast for so many years. He also did not expect that in the end, it would be this little girl who would form a contract with it. No, to be more accurate, it actually recognized her as its owner. Moreover, it took the initiative to recognize her as its owner. Seeing her like this, she must have forgotten about that guy. The only person who would treat Crimson Flame like this was her. Since it's useless to me, then it's not mine. Excluding my 2 pills, I need 18 pills. Then I'll refine 2 pills first. If it's not enough, I'll add more. Sima Yue said. I'll refine it for you in half a month. Emosha said. Okay. She knew that every time she let Emosha refine pills, it would use up his spiritual energy. So when she heard that it would take half a month, she did not feel that it was inappropriate. After she finished talking with Emosha, she went to the pill refining room to refine some pills for the Sima family's shop. Seeing that the pills she had refined in the past 2 days were enough to sell for a while, she left in a flash. She let Chun Jian deliver the pills to Sima Lai, then began to meditate to recover her spiritual energy. Thinking about how she would be able to refine pills to improve their physiques in 15 days, she had to seize the time to increase her own strength. Originally, she thought that the 15th day would arrive very quickly, but she did not think that the unforeseen event would come so suddenly. Sima Lai and the others did not even wait for her to refine the 100 revolutions pill. Chapter 121. A few days later, it was time for classes to start again. Since she had given up on the battle with the Nalan clan, Sima Yue returned to the academy, only sending people to collect the pills from time to time. Once she returned to the dormitory, Sima Yue saw the 4 people standing in the courtyard. Cough cough, what are you all doing here? Seeing Bei Gong Tang and the others pulling long faces like judges, she laughed and asked, Tell us, are we going to force you to confess or are you going to confess honestly? Wei Ziqi said, Confess what? Sima Yue blinked her eyes. When did you become an alchemist? We lived with you and didn't find out. If it wasn't for the banquet this time, I'm afraid we wouldn't have known that there was a second-ranked alchemist among us. Bei Gong Tang said. Fatty Chu came to Sima Yue's side and patted her shoulder, saying, Yue, it's not that I don't want to speak up for you this time, but if you don't confess honestly, they won't let you off. It started last year. Last year when I was able to cultivate, I accidentally came into contact with alchemy and slowly learned how to do it. Sima Yue rubbed her nose. Actually, it's nothing much. You're so busy every day, that's why you didn't notice me. No matter what, it's the truth that you've been hiding from us. In order to express your apology, you have to cook a big meal for us to make up for our hurt feelings. Ouyang Fei finally revealed his motive this time. Sima Yue looked at the few of them and said, All right, no problem. I'll cook a big meal for you this afternoon. Actually, she also knew that each of them had their own secrets. They didn't really want her to tell them the truth, they just wanted to extort her. However, it was good that cooking was her specialty, so it wasn't difficult to invite them. Seeing that Sima Yue agreed, everyone's long faces relaxed. I want to eat Kung Pao chicken. Ouyang Fei said. I want to eat Sichuan boiled fish. Bei Gong Tang's taste wasn't ordinary. Mine is a little simpler. Just give me whatever tastes good. Although Wei Ziqi's request seemed simple, it was actually the most difficult. Since Yue has already agreed, then let's go do our own things and wait for lunch. Fatty Chu said. Yu, call us when you're done. Bei Gong Tang turned around and returned to her own house after speaking. Wei Ziqi and Ouyang Fei also left, leaving Fatty Chu and Sima Yue in the courtyard with Station Master Li. That's right, Yue, Teacher Feng sent someone to pass on a message. He said that if you come to the academy today, it would be best if you go look for him before the sky turns dark. Fatty Chu left after he finished speaking. Sima Yue could not help but laugh as she looked at them. If they wanted to eat her cooking, they should have just said so. Why did they have to go through so much trouble? Thinking of what Fatty Chu had said before he left, it seemed like Feng Zhixing wanted him to give an explanation for using him as a shield. Perhaps it was because she knew that he would help her keep her secret, so when Wan Wufeng asked, she subconsciously mentioned him. Sighing, she resigned herself to her fate and entered the kitchen. She would first prepare lunch for everyone before looking for Feng Zhixing. When she took out the ingredients, Little Spirit had already prepared them for her, so she quickly prepared a table full of dishes. Now, everyone's noses were even more sensitive than the spirit beasts. She did not even call for them to come, but everyone had already entered the kitchen and very consciously started to eat. Sima Yue brought out the last of the soup. They had already eaten half of the dishes from before. She was fiercely shocked by their speed. She never knew that they had such high battle prowess. When they were eating, Wei Ziqi and the rest asked about the Sima family and the Nalan family. When they heard that they had settled things peacefully, they were a little surprised. Sima Yue did not explain too much. There were some things that she could not say. Everyone was smart. Seeing her like this, they knew that it was inconvenient and did not continue to ask. After lunch, Sima Yue hesitated in the house for a while before going to Feng Zhixing's office. Come in. Before she knocked on the door, a voice came from inside. The hand that was knocking on the door changed to pushing the door open. The moment she entered, she saw Feng Zhixing sitting behind the desk. Feng Zhixing's back was originally facing the door. When he heard her footsteps, he sat in the chair and turned around to face her. Teacher Feng, you were looking for me? Sima Yue asked. Yes. Feng Zhixing looked at Sima Yue and did not continue speaking. Cough cough, I had no other choice at that time, so I could only use teacher. Sima Yue took the initiative to explain. How come I didn't know that I can refine pills? And I even accepted such a powerful disciple like you? Feng Zhixing raised his eyebrows. When he knew that Sima Yue was a second-grade alchemist, he was also quite surprised. Compared to her talent, it was extremely rare even in the higher levels. He thought back to when the principal came back and talked about the banquet and asked him if he really accepted Sima Yue as his disciple. After his surprise, he helped her to cover up her lie. Teacher's identity is mysterious and his position is high. Normal people would not dare to ask if you know how to refine pills. Sima Yue said, so even if I said it, no one would come to find trouble with you. Also, you have more prestige. If I said that you taught me, everyone would believe me. Then how did you know that I would help you cover up your lie? Feng Zhixing laughed in his heart. This girl used to be so wary of him, but now she trusted him so much. Intuition. Sima Yue answered honestly. Alright, let's say your intuition is correct. Feng Zhixing said. Sima Yue smiled and said, so teacher has already helped me cover up my lie. Feng Zhixing did not answer and said, since everyone thinks that you are my disciple, then I should teach you some things. Teacher wants to teach me things? Feng Zhixing took out a box and said, come here. Sima Yue did not know what was going on, but she still walked over obediently. Put your hand on the box and close your eyes. Tell me, what do you see? Feng Zhixing placed the box on the table and said. Sima Yue replied with an "Oh," and put her hand on the box and closed her eyes. This box seemed to have some kind of attraction. She felt dizzy, and then she felt as if she was in another place. Tell me, what do you see? Feng Zhixing's magnetic voice sounded around her. There is nothing. There is only endless darkness. It is pitch black everywhere. Sima Yue said. Feel it carefully again. Is there still nothing? Feng Zhixing asked again. Sima Yue focused again. The originally dark surroundings were filled with some light, and bits of starlight appeared around her. She looked at the changes around her in shock and said in disbelief, I feel like I am in the universe. There are bits of starlight all around me. It is so beautiful. When Feng Zhixing heard Sima Yoyue's words, his body suddenly shook. Chapter 122. How big is the space you see? Feng Zhixing asked. Sima Yue looked around and said, How old? I can't see the end. It's empty everywhere. Feng Zhixing's shock turned into horror. He looked at Sima Yue and was speechless for a long time. After waiting for a while, seeing that Feng Zhixing did not respond, Sima Yue opened her eyes and called out in confusion, Teacher? Feng Zhixing took a deep breath and said, All right, you can put it away now. Sima Yue retracted her hand and asked, What is this? Feng Zhixing put the box away and said, This is to test a person's ability to sense space. Perception of space? Why did he give her this test? Feng Zhixing said, Didn't I say I was going to teach you a skill? I'm not an alchemist, so I can't teach you how to refine pills, but I can teach you how to set up arrays. Array formation? Teacher is an array master? Sima Yue was shocked. She had never heard of him being an array master. Although she had taken several teleportation arrays, she had never seen an array master. It was said that the number of array masters in Dongchen country was even rarer than alchemists and weapon refiners. When she heard that Feng Zhixing was an array master, she could not hide the surprise and passion in her eyes. Feng Zhixing nodded and said, If you want to become an array master, other than having a strong spiritual power, you also need to be able to sense space. Since you have already become an alchemist, it means that there is no problem with your mental strength. Through the test just now, your perception of space is also very good. As long as your perception is enough, you can definitely become an array master. Is it difficult to become a formation master? Sima Yue asked. Think about the difference between an array master, an alchemist, a weapon refiner, and a beast tamer. You can imagine how difficult it is to become an array master. Feng Xingji said, Alchemists all need to rely on strong mental energy, but for array masters, this is only the foundation. This was because space was an illusory thing. The most important thing about space was not spiritual power, but perception and perception. If you can't achieve these 2 points, no matter how strong your mental strength is, you will never be able to become an array master. So that's how it is. I was wondering why the Dongchen kingdom did not have many array masters. I didn't know it was so troublesome to become an array master. Sima Yue nodded in understanding. That's right. That's why the status of a formation master is above that of the other major professions. If you become an array master, other professions will have to be respectful when they see you. Feng Zhixing said. Array masters are so awesome. That's natural, Feng Zhixing said. There are many types of formations, and they have many uses. They can be big or small. Back where we came from, many cities rely on arrays to resist invasions. Teleportation arrays between cities can be seen in the bigger picture. An alchemist's strength is not very strong, but a defensive array can allow him to wait for reinforcements. Or, a maze array can make people lose their way when they enter the array. There are also offensive arrays. As long as someone enters, they will be injured by the power of the array. Sima Yue listened to Feng Zhixing talk nonstop. She smacked her lips twice and said, There are actually so many types of arrays. There are many types of arrays. You will slowly understand them in the future. Feng Zhixing said, Also, there are some high-level array masters who can comprehend the unique skills of an array master. What unique skills? Sima Yue asked curiously. Feng Zhixing looked around the room and saw the lampstand. He said, Bring the candle over and light it. Sima Yue went over and took the candle from the lampstand. She lit it and placed it on the table. Feng Zhixing looked at the candle for a while, then said, Try blowing the candle out. Sima Yue leaned over and blew on the candle. Based on common sense, blowing at such a close distance would definitely extinguish the flame. However, The flame on the candle did not even flicker. It was as if she did not blow on it at all. Sima Yue blew on it again. The flame on the candle still did not move. What's going on? Sima Yue looked at Feng Zhixing and asked. He did not do anything. How could it not be extinguished? Stretch out your hand and touch it. Feng Zhixing said. Sima Yue stretched out her finger and wanted to poke the candle. However, she realized that she was blocked by something and could not touch the candle at all. Teacher, what's going on? Sima Yue asked in surprise. Because I have sealed the space around the candle. Therefore you can't touch it at all. Feng Zhixing said as he stretched out his hand to touch the candle. Sima Yue did not retract her hand. She could clearly feel the layer of obstruction. However, Feng Zhixing directly touched the candle. You can do that? That's amazing. Sima Yue poked the invisible barrier with interest, but what's the use of this? By sealing the space, others cannot enter this space. When you are fighting with others, the other party's reinforcements must first break through your seal before they can enter. Furthermore, in your space, the other party's strength will be greatly weakened. They can even fight with people of a higher level. Feng Zhixing explained to her one by one. Furthermore, if the other party attacks you and you seal the space around you, they will not be able to hurt you. Isn't it very powerful to be able to block other people's attacks outside? If I were to fight with others and seal the space around me when they attack, wouldn't I be invincible? Sima Yue said. How is that possible? This is also related to the array master's strength. Feng Zhixing said, the higher an array master's understanding of space, the stronger their ability to seal the space. This is just like cultivation. The stronger the ability, the stronger the space that is sealed, and the stronger the impact that can be resisted. Furthermore, the size of the space that is sealed will vary according to the strength of the array master. Some array masters can seal the size of a house, while others can only seal the size of a fist. If you can understand space sealing, then you are very powerful. Sima Yue said. Array masters have other unique skills. The one that is more powerful than space sealing is space movement, and the one that is even more powerful is space shattering. No matter what skill it is all built on the understanding of space. Feng Zhixing said, I'm telling you all this just to explain the position of array masters in this world, and the direction that you have to work hard in the future. I understand. Sima Yue nodded. She admired array masters even more in her heart. I have 2 introductory books on array masters here. One is about the basic knowledge of array masters, and the other is about various array masters. I have some annotations in it, so it won't be too difficult to read. Feng Zhixing took out 2 books and handed them to Sima Yue. Like I said before, if you want to become an array master, you have to understand the mystery of space yourself. This book on array masters is also useful on this basis. Chapter 123. Sima Yue took the books. She felt that these 2 books would show her another exciting world. These books on formations are very rare in this world, so you must take good care of them, Feng Zhixing reminded him again. I will, teacher. Sima Yue nodded solemnly and kept the book into her soul pearl. In the future, you can come here 2 nights a week. I'll explain the knowledge of formations to you. Now go back and look at these 2 books. If there's anything you don't understand, come and ask me. Feng Zhixing said. All right. Since I've accepted you as my disciple, then you must study hard in the future. Don't make me lose face, do you understand? Feng Zhixing said with a serious face. Yes, master. She changed the word teacher to master, indicating that the relationship between the 2 of them was not just an ordinary teacher-student relationship, but had now taken a step closer to that of master and disciple. By the way, master, what level has your space seal reached? Feng Zhixing saw the curiosity in Sima Yue's eyes. He smiled and said, Master can only seal off half of the room. She didn't know what level he was at in sealing half a room, but when she thought about how he said that many array masters could only seal a fist-sized space, she thought that this master of hers must be quite powerful. Seeing Sima Yue deep in thought, Feng Zhixing was stunned for a moment. It was as if he saw the shadow of that person from years ago. When Sima Yue came back to her senses, she saw Feng Zhixing staring at her. He seemed to be looking at her, but he also seemed to be looking at other places through her. His eyes were blurred, filled with memories and a trace of heartache. Master? She couldn't help but interrupt his thoughts. Ahem, if you don't have anything else, you can leave. Feng Zhixing pretended to cough twice to cover up his loss of composure and waved his hand at Sima Yue. Then I'll take my leave. Sima Yue left after saying that. After taking a few steps, she stopped and turned around to look at Feng Zhixing. At this moment, he was immersed in his memories again. After leaving the office, Sima Yue walked around the campus alone. She was filled with doubts. At that time, Sima Lai had unintentionally mentioned that she had a life tablet. He even said that Feng Zhixing was present when the life tablet was made for her. The average person would not be able to make something like a life jade. Even Sima Lai did not make one for Sima Yuming and the others, so it was strange that she was the only one who had a life jade. Feng Zhixing was present at that time, and he wasn't from Dongchen country. Didn't that mean that when he made her life tablet, she wasn't even in Dongchen country? Was she not a member of the Sima family at all? Sima Yue was shocked by her own thoughts and subconsciously stopped in her tracks. She felt that her conjecture was somewhat unimaginable, but there were indeed some strange things about her interactions with Sima Lai and the others. For example, her mother or father were not from the human race, but from the dark race. Only then could she possess the light devil body. But from what she knew, Sima Yuming and the others' mother was indeed from the human race. Also, when Sima Lai gave her her father's box, he said that it was something that her father had left behind. At that time, it was not like it was passed down from generation to generation. It was more like she was keeping the box for her father. Actually, based on her special physique, she could guess that she was not from the Sima family. She had never thought about this before. Now that everything was connected, she started to suspect her own identity. But even if she guessed it, she did not plan to ask Sima Lai and the others. It was not that she was not curious about her own identity, it was just that she missed the warmth of the Sima family. As for the truth, she believed that there would be a day when she would know. When the time came, Sima Lai and the others would naturally tell her. After sorting out her thoughts, Sima Yue heaved a sigh of relief and returned to the dormitory. Because the next semester was about to start, Wei Ziqi and the others were in their own rooms preparing for tomorrow's classes. She returned to her own room and took out the book that Feng Zhixing gave her and placed it on the table. "Array Master." She stretched out a hand and touched the cover of the book. Until now, she still felt that it was unbelievable. Although she had thought of learning arrays before, she knew in her heart that the chances were very small. She did not think that Feng Zhixing was actually an array master, so this opportunity was placed in front of her. How do I comprehend space? She looked around and did not feel that there was anything special about it. How do I comprehend this? Master can actually seal a space that is half the size of a house. That's amazing. I wonder what his true strength is. Spatial shift, spatial seal. Even Master doesn't know these two. It must be even harder. If he learns it, he will definitely be awesome. Forget it, let's not think about that now. First, I'll properly read the book and comprehend what exactly is this space that Master talked about. Sima Yu spent the entire afternoon reading and comprehending. However, even when night fell, she still didn't comprehend anything. However, she was not disappointed. If it was so easy to comprehend, then array masters would not be rarer than alchemists. The next day, classes began. Everyone's lives seemed to have returned to the peaceful way it was before. Every day, they would attend classes, study, and cultivate. Because Wei Ziqi and the others had Sima Yue, this abnormal person, constantly provoking them, they worked even harder than the others. This was so that they could keep up with her pace and not be left far behind. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. Sima Yue felt that she was even busier every day. However, she later discovered that she could comprehend space at night when she was recovering her soul. This saved her a lot of time. At night, Sima Yue and Emosha sat opposite each other with the golden snake fruit tree in between. The moonlight shone on the tree, emitting a milky white gas. This was something that the two of them often did at night. Because of the contract, the two of them had formed a kind of trust. They believed that the other party would not harm them, so they could enter into their cultivation mode without worry. Emosha did not cultivate that night. Tomorrow was the time to refine pills for Sima Yue. His soul had already recovered a lot, so he gave himself a temporary break. He sat on the praying mat and looked at Sima Yue, who was in the midst of comprehending space. He sighed in his heart that her luck was really good. Other people might not even be able to obtain the same treasure in their lifetime, but for her, it was like cabbages that could be found on the market. Imperial Beast Art and Training Soul Art were both things that he had obtained after going through countless trials and tribulations when he was alive. However, because of the relationship between the two of them, she had easily obtained them. Books on array masters were also very rare in the entire world, but she had met an array master. Not to mention that she also had the Spirit Pearl, a world that could contain life. She also had the supreme artifact, Ling Long, that he had only heard of in his lifetime. Thinking of the treasures that she had, if she casually threw any one of them out, it would not cause a bloody storm on the continent. If there was no contract, even he would be moved by them. Sima Yue felt his gaze, but did not open her eyes. This was because at this moment, she had suddenly entered another realm. Chapter 124. At this moment, she seemed to have returned to the place where stars were everywhere. Countless stars seemed to be blinking at her, sometimes close and sometimes far away. At this moment, specks of light flashed around her. The spots of light danced around her for a moment before slowly drifting away and merging with the stars in the distance. At this moment, she felt as if she had been magnified many times over. Space and distance, she felt as if they were all under her control. The first sentence of the foundational spell formation book suddenly appeared in her mind. Space can be near or far. It can be formless and can be touched. Every space has a relative connection with another space. Find it, understand it, master it, control it. She felt that she seemed to have reached the step of finding it. Feng Zhixing had said that if one could reach this point, they would be considered to have reached the entry level of a formation master. As soon as her mind relaxed, the space she was in quickly retreated, and the feeling she had just now disappeared. When she opened her eyes, she was still in her bedroom. She did not go to that so-called space. Did you comprehend it? Emosha asked. Seeing her state just now, he knew that she must have gained something. Sima Yue nodded. She saw that this guy was sitting there lazily with one leg bent, his arm resting on it, and his palm supporting his head. He was not cultivating. She asked, "Why aren't you cultivating?" "It's almost done." Emosha waved his sleeves. "Really? Let's go and refine the pills now." Sima Yue stood up and said, "Are you sure you don't need to think about what you just comprehended?" Emosha said. Sima Yue was stunned. How did this guy know? I've already waited for so many days, there's no need to rush. However, this is something that can only be found by chance. Emosha, as someone who had experienced this before, knew how small the chances were. Sima Yue thought about it and agreed. There was no need to rush to concoct pills now. She nodded and sat down again, saying, "All right then, I won't refine pills tonight. We'll talk about it tomorrow." Emosha saw her close her eyes again and didn't say anything, continuing to stare at her. Her youthful face was already showing the shadow of a devastatingly beautiful woman. However, because the illusion ring on her hand showed the appearance of a man, that kind of stunning beauty was weakened. Thinking about how she had learned the Imperial Beast art without anyone teaching her, how she had become a second-grade alchemist in less than a year of alchemy, and how she had been able to comprehend space in such a short period of time, he couldn't help but sigh with emotion at her talent. This little fellow's talent is really not inferior to mine back then. Sima Yue repeatedly thought about the space she had just seen. She recalled the feeling she had at that time, and slowly, she seemed to have found the nature of the space. The next morning, Sima Yue asked Fatty Chu to help her apply for leave. She then locked herself in her room and started refining pills. Inside the Soul Pearl, Sima Yue and Mo Sha arrived at the pill refining room. The room was already filled with the ingredients needed to refine the 100 Revolutions pill, as well as 2 bottles of Spirit Energy Recovery pills. Let's begin, Sima Yue said to Mo Sha. Mo Sha nodded and walked to the side of the pill refining furnace. With a thought, a wisp of black flame entered the bottom of the pill refining furnace and grew wildly. Very quickly, it covered the entire bottom of the pill refining furnace. Sima Yue didn't let go of this opportunity to learn as she attentively observed his every move. She realized that every time she watched Mo Sha refine pills, she would gain something different. It was a great help to her alchemy. With the experience of working together, the two of them already had great chemistry. When it was time to condense the pills, Mo Sha didn't even need to say anything. With one look from him, she knew that it was time for her to go up. She moved closer to the pill refining furnace and inserted her spirit energy. After eating 2 more pills, Sima Yue finally finished the first round of inserting spirit energy. She stood to the side a little exhausted and watched Mo Sha finish the last part. After a while, Mo Sha finished refining the pills and put away the fire. Done, Sima Yue asked. Yes, let's rest for a day and refine the second batch tomorrow. Mo Sha nodded and said. Sima Yue saw that he was in good spirits and knew that he had postponed it to tomorrow because she couldn't supply enough spirit energy. She nodded and replied, okay. Mo Sha's body moved and disappeared. She came to the side of the pill refining furnace and opened the lid. She took out a jade bottle and was about to keep the pills. Seeing the pills inside, she was slightly stunned. 10 pills. When she was inserting her spirit energy, she couldn't connect them. She thought that it would affect the success rate. She didn't think that he would be able to salvage the situation and still produce 10 pills. So amazing. I wonder what level he was when he was alive. She kept the pills and let Little Spirit pack her things. She went to the cultivation room to recover her spirit energy. In the afternoon, she heard a knock on the door and came out of the room. Fatty? What's the matter? That, Teacher Feng wants you to find him. It seems to be urgent. Fatty Chu said. I got it. Sima Yue came out and closed the door. She didn't go to class today. Could it be that he was looking for her because of this? However, she often skipped class before and he didn't say anything, so it shouldn't be about this. She came to Feng Zhixing's office and lightly knocked on the door. Then she pushed the door open and entered. Master, you're looking for me? Feng Zhixing looked at Sima Yue and said, I wanted to say goodbye to you after class, but you didn't come to class today. I had no choice but to call you over. Teacher, you're leaving? Sima Yue looked at Feng Zhixing in shock. This news came too suddenly and she wasn't mentally prepared at all. Yeah, something happened in the clan. They told me to go back immediately. Feng Zhixing nodded. Because the news came too quickly, I have to go back immediately. What's so urgent? Sima Yue asked. There are some things with the Sage Pavilion that I need to go back to settle. Feng Zhixing said. Sage Pavilion? Was it with Wu Lingyu and the others? Seeing Feng Zhixing's expression, it didn't seem to be anything good. However, the battle between them wasn't something that she could interfere with at this stage. If they really fought, she would only end up being blasted to pieces. Then when will teacher leave? Sima Yue asked reluctantly. After being together for such a long time, he had always treated her with all his heart and guided her. Now that he suddenly said that he was leaving, she realized that other than the Sima family, she also treated him as someone close to her. I'll say goodbye to you and say goodbye to the principal before leaving, Feng Zhixing said. So fast. Yeah, the things there are more urgent. Feng Zhixing said. Then teacher, are you still coming back? I think that by the time I'm done, you should have already left Dongqin country. Feng Zhixing smiled. If I don't come back, you can come to the primordial lands to find me. I believe that with your talent, you will be there very quickly. The primordial lands. That was where he lived. Would it be where her parents lived as well? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.